This is a call to order for the June Historic Preservation Commission meeting. It's Wednesday, June 11th. Time is 6 p.m. Before we get started, I do want to welcome our newest member to the Historic Preservation Commission, Ms. Lisa Solka. Thank you for joining us. Can we get a roll call, please?
Chairman Evan Goodwin.
Here.
Vice Chairman Joe DePaul. Commissioner Carlitha Frazier. Commissioner Jim Hess. Commissioner Tim Probst. Commissioner Debbie Wonder. Commissioner Lisa Solka.
Notice regarding adjournment. The Historic Preservation Commission will not hear new items after 9:30 p.m. unless authorized by a majority vote of the commission members present. Items which have not been heard before 9:30 p.m. may be continued to the next regular meeting or a special meeting date as determined by the commission members. We're going to look for the adoption of the minutes as written. Everybody take a look at those. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay, and the minutes are passed. We also have the special meeting minutes, which will do the same. No discussion, I presume. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any against? Then the meeting minutes for the special meeting are approved. Do we have any public comment?
Yes.
Okay.
Lori Ducio.
Thank you all. Nice to see you. I've just learned that I was coming up here about 10 minutes ago, so if you'll bear with me.
Sure. Could you please state your name and address?
Oh, sorry. Lori Guscio, 75 Bridge Street. We have just learned this week that the property that's being built next to us on 71 Bridge, we looked up the plans online and saw that the entrance is now off of our shared driveway, which with my in-laws have enjoyed that private drive, semi-private drive for 45 years now. And we literally just learned about it by looking it up online with no call, no ask, no courtesy of, hey, we're coming next door and we're going to be using the shared driveway and building a big brick wall there. So our main concern is the construction traffic. Where is the construction entrance going to be when that house is built? Hopefully it's off of Bridge Street and maybe parking at the Sarah Hooks Riley property. The way it's a single lane driveway. It connects right to my in-laws' home, and then our home is right next door. Our main concern is the increase in traffic when it's all said and done, deliveries, guests wanting to come onto the Guscio property as a throughway. We feel like it's probably basically going to force us to have to create a gate and build a gate, which is going to be a lot. So we just wanted to get that on record, but I appreciate you listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Okay. All right, do we have any old business? Then we are on to new business. Is a COFA for 82 Pritchard Street.
All right. There we go. All right. Good evening, commissioners. I'm Kevin Eicher, Director of Growth Management. The perfect storm happened where all my staff are away at conferences, so you have me all night to do all of the presentations. So we're going to go through this. Our goal is, as I said, is to make sure that we can get all of these applications through before the 9:30 cutoff. If it gets close, we can discuss at that time to see how we would like to move forward. So And Ms. Guccio, wherever you are, I'll reach out to you, okay? Okay. All right. So the first item we have is for 82 Pritchard Street. This is the applicant, Keith Martelli, who's here in the audience. And this is for the Driscoll owners at 82 Pritchard. And they're looking to renovate their two-story carriage house. That's approximately 1,200 square feet in the historic district here. It's neighborhood conservation. That's the zoning on the property. Here's the picture right here. You can see that they have the existing carriage house. It's a two-car garage. I'm just going to run through these relatively quickly for you guys. These are all in your packet. Again, the existing conditions, and then you can see what their proposed conditions are, changing this to a single-car garage with a door on the front, as well as doors and new windows on the rear. Again, existing conditions here. Proposed elevations. So what this is from the street view as well as from the cove view. New windows are being installed, a new configuration for the stairwell at the rear. There is a internal circular stairwell as well as the external stairwell or the steps. Bathroom and bedroom downstairs, as well as a loft and kitchen area upstairs. There are the 4 review criteria which you use in assessing this. Specifically, we're going to focus on item number 2, and that's in the conditions which staff has here. It's just to provide window materials and operations that are in compliance with the code sections listed. Provide the door material for the entry door and the French doors. Provide the stairwell railing detail as for the UDO section listed. And then it says, show the exposed patio foundation with the brick veneer and the bond pattern to match the foundation of the main residence. So with that, your actions are to approve as submitted, approve with the proposed conditions, or to deny the request. I'm happy to answer any questions or comments that you may have. I do have a motion if you so choose to move forward with, and the applicant here is here to answer any questions you may have.
Do you have any questions for staff or for the applicant? Hearing none? Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'm trying to hit the button, and it is not working. Oh,
I mean, is the applicant present and would like
Would
to?
the applicant like to speak?
I have nothing to say.
Okay, thanks.
sorry. Let me get back to this.
I can say a lot, but
I guess I have a couple quick questions just to address the conditions the recommendations that staff has provided here. Could you elaborate on the window and door materials?
So,
Speak.
so my name's Keith Martelli Architects. I sent them to Charlotte. We're using Elevate Marvin windows. They're double hung windows with the Fibrex material because we're trying to match what's existing on the house that is there and what's already in the carriage house. So I provided her those specs that she asked me for the windows, the doors, and the garage door.
Okay. And no issues with the patio the other staff recommendations, meeting those, the
No.
patio foundation or the stair
No.
detail? Great,
We're fine with that.
thank you.
While those items may have been received by staff, we haven't had a chance to completely review them. So what we can do is if you just make those items still as part of your recommendation, and then we'll make sure that they are addressed as part of that resubmittal.
I will motion to approve the COFA with application with staff recommendations as listed in their report, 1 through 4.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against?
Great, thank you.
Approved. All right, item number 2 is another COFA for 32 Tabby Shell.
So we're here for 32 Tabby Shell. The applicant, Drew Vaughn with Palmetto Star Construction, has submitted a request, and this is to allow the construction of a detached carriage house of 643 square feet at 32 Tabby Shell, and that's in the Tabby Shell development. It's also zoned neighborhood general. You can see on the map here where it's located in proximity to Burnt Church Road. This is some photos of the rear. You can see that it's obviously the principal structure is existing, and there's just the addition of the carriage house. I've highlighted it here. There are some additional trees that will be removed with this. I believe the majority of them are pine trees. Again, from a rear elevation, you can see the proximity of the building in relation to the principal structure. And then this would be the other side of it. Again, I'm going through these relatively quickly. The double garage. For the review criteria, it's the 4 review criteria that we have listed specifically for item number 2. And that's we'll go through some of these items that need some a review and conditional approval. So number 1 is the service yard must be relocated from underneath the stairs and screened in compliance with the code section. So what's happening is our building code department is flagging a lot of these where air compressors, the condensers are being placed under the stairwell, which per building code is not allowed. So what we're trying to do is catch these on the front end, just so that way they can make sure to remove them from under the stairwell and put them in an appropriate location. So that's one of the items we have. Provide the material to be used on the horizontal boards underneath the staircase that are compliant with the configuration requirements of the Tabby Roads HARB. Remove the notation final stair design to be determined on site. That needs to be determined in this time frame, not on site. The exposed foundation must match the tabby shell that's out there. The entry doors from fiberglass to wood, metal, or metal clad to comply with the UDO sections. Update the window schedule to indicate that vinyl windows are being proposed. Provide the soffit configuration to be beaded or V-grooved tongue. Revise the roof overhang to 18 inches and the freeze board to 2x10 trim. Show the minimum 75% tree canopy. Submit the tree removal permit. That's a standard item that we have on here. And then the final approval from the Tabby Roads HARB. With that, your actions are to approve as submitted by the applicant, approve with conditions, or to deny the application as you request. I do have a suggested motion. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and then the applicant is here as well.
Do we have any questions for staff first? Is the applicant here to present or answer questions?
Yeah,
Would you like
he's
to
here
come
as
up?
well.
Can you go back to the conditions, Kevin? Hi. Could you state your name?
Drew Van.
And would you like to speak to any of the conditions, or if not, we can just ask?
Yeah, I can talk to any
Sure.
of them. All right, so with number 1, the service yard, we found out about that last week. It is a mini split, so the actual air conditioner is going to be maybe 2 foot by 1 foot by 18 inches. We've proposed to just push it further up the house, but on the same side, within the same setback, and we'll screen it as needed as well.
But outside from underneath the stair.
Exactly.
Got it, okay.
We have no problem with number 2. Number 3 is easy. We'll remove that. Everything else we can change. So just any other questions?
Any questions for the applicant?
Is the stair design that was shown the one that's intended to be built?
Yes. Yeah, we redrew the stair design. We don't have access to that architect at the moment, so we just couldn't remove off that part. But we can use whiteout and then rescan it in.
Okay. So staff will review that. Okay.
We'll work with them. We'll also review it at time of building permit submittal.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
And do you know what you were intending for the soffit?
Oh, we were going to do V-groove.
V-groove?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
For tree removals, is there any live oaks that are going to be
There
removed?
are not.
Just pine?
It's all pines.
It's really a statement. I've gone by all these sites this week, and you're not gonna be the only one I'm gonna say this to, because a lot of these have more than 8 conditions, and I would just encourage all the builders or whoever's the applicant to try to get as much information up front, because it puts a lot of strain on staff, and it keeps possibly 2 other applications not to be heard because of it. So future, just try to get it down to the first applicant, 4 or 5, It just seems like a lot of conditions that should have been done at first.
Honestly, half of these I had never seen until tonight, just now.
Okay. Well, you're not going to be the last one to hear that from me. Thank you.
Anything else?
Any other questions for the applicant?
Yeah, do we have the bracket detail in there?
Sorry, I don't have it pulled up right here, but I can get to it if you give me 1 second.
We did redraw it for you, Tim. I did see that. I have one comment on it. Easy comment.
That would be under plans. Give me 1 second here.
It's right there.
Yeah.
So I would recommend, I think the diagonal is too far in.
Okay.
So you have 1 foot out, 1 foot down. I would probably push that so it's 4 inches, so it's more under the beam. So just move it further out.
Put 4 inches and 4 inches?
Instead of 1 foot,
Yeah.
make that 4 inches and 4 inches.
Absolutely.
And that would get it more directly under the beam and look correct.
Any further discussion? Are we ready to make a motion? Tim?
Yeah, I'll make the motion. Motion, can we go to the,
Yeah, well, there's not much to the motion right there. So that's why I was leaving it on the conditions here. So if you'd like, you can just, list the conditions 1 through 11 and to add the condition of the bracket detail.
a motion to approve with conditions 1 through 11, staff recommendations, and then also move the bracket out so it's 4 inches, 4-inch exposure.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The motion is passed as stated. All right, third item up is a COFA for 68 Pritchard Street.
Okay, we are here for, this is 68 Pritchard Street. The applicants are Tony and Alyssa Presley. This is for the construction of a detached garage, approximately 800 square feet at 68 Pritchard Street, right around the corner from here. You can see this in the neighborhood general zoning district. These are some just images of the area, the gravelled area where the carriage house is being proposed. This is the carriage house itself, the rear elevation, right side elevation. The front elevation is actually what would be facing out towards the adjacent property. So the front garage elevation, the house would be to the right of this. This is the existing elevation. I know that there were some questions about given the ability to see what the existing house looks like. So I kind of put on there that the height of it is at 33 feet. Again, this is the side elevation. And then while this is not to scale, I did try to get it as close as possible to give you a perspective as to the height difference between the principal structure as well as the carriage house. So carriage house is at 24 feet in height. So from the review criteria, we have them all listed here, specifically for item number 2. Is the service yard to be relocated from underneath the stair. Again, that's another one that we've been trying to catch. That the exposed foundation will match the tabby shell on the existing house. That would provide door and window schedule for the plans. The standing seam metal roof should be galvanized to match the existing house. That would need to be labeled. Identify the corner board material, provides the water table, as well as the drip cap to the fiber cement board to match the existing house. Provide bracket details, including dimensions and materials. Show the 75% tree canopy, and there are trees that are over 14 inches that are being proposed to be removed. I know that there was one that was initially proposed as part of the original principal structure, but I'm not sure if it was removed or not. But on the plans, it does call for the removal of a laurel, I believe it's a laurel oak that is approximately 30 inch in diameter. With that, you can approve as submitted, approve with conditions, or to deny the request. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and then go back to those conditions as well.
Do we have any questions for staff first?
Just a clarification, did you say the 30-inch is going to be removed or it is not going to be removed?
Is,
It is.
yes, yes.
Any other questions for staff?
The stairs to the carriage house, is it, I'm just looking at it, it just looks like, is it on the property line or is there enough space there?
I apologize, I did not, for some reason, I forgot to put the actual site plan on there. Give me 1 second here and we'll pull that up.
I think it's 105 on the packet.
Yeah, I think I got it, individual ones here. Okay.
Or is that an elevation?
They're 5 feet off. It's 5 feet off of the property line.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions for staff?
So that laurel oak was approved to be removed in the original house plans?
I don't think so. I know that they showed on there, but, so I'll let him, I'll speak on behalf of that portion of it. And then, we can get some more information for you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Would the applicant like to come up?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Can you take it back to the conditions?
Yeah, sure thing. Right.
I'm sorry, my name's Tony Presley. Yes. So that tree was removed during, it was removed during Matthews. It was knocked over. So when we originally did our stuff, so it was snapped in half and we can't really keep it. Now there was another one, on your other tree, there's another tree that is a small laurel oak to the left with us. We're gonna try to preserve that as best as possible to try to kind of build around it. That's the reason why the steps are kind of tight. So we're trying our best to do everything we can to. And we had a laurel oak that is on the back side, left back or back right side of the house, facing from the road to the house. Backside was also damaged during Irma. So I mean, it was either that or I kill my kids. I had to get it done. As far as window and door schedule, we're gonna match the same existing. We'll use Pella as well, again. The bracket, I know anyone have a question regarding the brackets, I can be more than happy to answer those if there's a question on that. It was just on the comments, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's saying provide the bracket details. Do you have that?
I don't have the bracket details, but I can definitely make sure that we've got that. It'll match the existing house that we have out front existing.
Any concern about the service yard being relocated?
Absolutely none, zero. And honestly, we just found out about it, my wife just found out about that. Like, there were so Paul and Gemma on 68 Pritchard Street, it's the first green, Charleston style right here. Theirs is underneath there. That's where we thought it went.
It's a newer enforcement thing, so everybody's getting used to it.
I can move it. It's not a big deal. That's nothing. That's an easy one.
Do you have a concept of where that's gonna go right now?
I can probably put it right behind the steps. Yeah.
Any
And if I need
questions
to
for-
push, and if I need to move the house forward off 5 feet property set to make that, I can do that as well. Because I think that'd be a 10 foot, so we can always push it forward. I can do whatever needs to be done to push this through, I will do.
Sure. Okay. Any specific questions for the applicant?
Can we look at the elevation with the existing house? This is kind of.
Yep.
One thing is, it seems pretty tall in the front. I don't know, do you guys look at putting a roof over the garage doors to match or wrap that bracket detail around?
If you would like that, I could definitely do that. If that's something that's
Just very tall, either that or I think a minimum that there's a band at the second floor of the house. So I think you need to have that go around. You can see the house right there. I mean, is that in reality, do you have a band there?
on the, what part of,
So if you look at the house, between the first floor and the second floor, there's,
now that's the back of the house, just so you know.
Yeah.
That's not the front of the house.
right, but see between the first and.
Yeah, right here, this band, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, oh, I understand what you're saying, I apologize. I apologize, I didn't understand what you're saying. Yeah, I could definitely do the bed, that's not an issue, we can swap that out soon.
What do you guys think?
Are there any, yeah, are there thoughts on that?
I like that idea.
The band board or the or the roof?
Band board.
Band board?
So band board?
I think that's
Bracket?
a nice way to treat it without having.
Just to break it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So if we include that in the conditions, if
Okay,
someone
so the
wants-
only, that's fine, because the lights I had picked out, I can work around that. I can work around that.
Do you have any other questions? Tim?
No, that was my biggest concern. And then, I mean, seeing it next to the house really helped. And then the biggest
Yeah.
concern is you didn't see it originally with the house, so I was afraid it was too tall, but I could see that it's almost,
Yeah, that also actually helped with one of the questions I had was about the window pane proportions. Because we have sort of vertical proportion on some of them, but shorter on the others, but it's the same as the main house, so
Right.
I think that's appropriate.
May I ask y'all a question?
Mm-hmm.
So I have, so it's a 30-inch reveal, obviously, on the main house. So you're gonna have probably less than a 6-inch reveal, maybe less. You still want that tabular, which I don't, 6 one way, half dozen the other to me. I just wanna make sure that.
Yeah, we do have to include it as just,
That's fine.
it's
No
one of those things. Okay.
All right, so just the van, we talked about the trees.
We'll work our way down. Commissioner Sokol, do you have any other questions?
You had, in the pellet cut sheets you submitted, you circled the window grids and it was like a 4 light over a divided, so it was 4 panels over 2. Are you trying to use that window grid pattern or the ones that are in the elevations?
I'm gonna try to use the exact same ones. If
Yeah,
I need
as
to
a witness.
adjust it on that, I'll be more than happy to make sure that that's adjusted on that, but I'm gonna try to do the
Okay.
exact
It
same
was,
ones. to match that.
I think it was just what you circled on that cut sheet was a little different than what was here, so that's fine.
Yeah, I want it to match more than y'all do.
Okay,
I promise you.
that was the only question I had.
Okay, Mr. Frazier? No wonder?
No questions.
Okay. Do we have someone willing to make a motion then? Commissioner Probst? Sure. You're in a roll.
I'll make the easy ones.
Yeah. We talked about the band board and. What's the band board? And this-
No, that was-
That was on there. So I think just the band board. Yeah.
a motion to approve with staff's recommendations, is it 1 through 8? Is there more?
Yeah, yep.
And include a band board between the first and second floor to match the house.
Second?
Second.
Do we have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion is approved. Let's move forward to item number 4, 41 Stock Farm Road, Certificate of Appropriateness.
Okay, we're here for 41 Stock Farm Road. This is new construction of a carriage house and breezeway. This is for the Mingard family. This is 792 square feet. It's in the Historic District, in the Neighborhood Conservation District, in Stock Farm Development. You can see here the proximity on the map. Here are some photos. This house just came through about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I believe. My years start to run together, so I can't remember exactly. So that you can see the approximate location of where the applicant is proposing to put the carport. Here and then here. This is from the street view. This is a rendering of the site. You can see that it's the carport that will then have a breezeway connecting to the existing structure. This is the rear angle of it to give you proximity of where it's located. Highlighted here with the existing house. Again, this is the rear view of it. And this is the run of it to the existing house on both sides. We have the 4 review criteria for you to review, specifically dealing with number 2 for the design standards. And we have that per the UDO to adjust spacing of the applicable breezeway. And I struck through carport, and I will say this, that I had staff and I re-looked through this report where we did make mention to actually put a post through the carport where the actual vehicles are located at this point right here. After reviewing it more, I felt that it wasn't appropriate to actually have it right there where the vehicles are located. It's one thing when it's a garage with garage doors to have the separated garage doors, but felt that it just was not appropriate. However, along the breezeways, yes, they do need to have the proportionate distance for the bracket, or excuse me, for the post. So from again, I'm going the wrong way. So it's just that adjust the spacing for the breezeway posts, not the carport portion of it, so that the distance is no greater than the posts are tall. Provide the louver vent board and batten screen details. Obviously, it's to match the existing house, so we just need to make sure that the applicant provides those details that were part of the house, so we can include that in this COFA request. And then provide exposed carport foundation material to be in compliance with the code section. And then provide the wall section through the eave detailing how the fascia, soffits, water tables, and corner boards are going to be in compliance. So with that, you can approve as submitted, approve with the conditions proposed. To deny the request, I'm happy to answer any questions. And I'm actually, if you'd like to make a motion, I do have the staff findings here for you.
Do we have any questions for staff?
The carport post, they submitted some photos of surrounding carports that had
Yes.
the same condition, correct?
Correct. Yes.
I had to say, I caught that when I was looking over it, and I'm just full disclosure, these are my neighbors, but I purposely did not tell them I was on HPC. But I'm happy with this as a neighbor, but I did catch that with so many other that had set precedent within the last 2 years. I didn't understand that, and they're very careful about taking care of their trees. So with that post, it would almost make it difficult to keep a tree that they had on their lot. So that's all I had on it.
Commissioner Probst, do you have any questions for staff? Anybody else?
No.
Do we have any questions for the applicant? Or is the applicant here and would yes?
Dylan Mingard.
Would you like to speak to any of the comments?
Yeah, we agree with all of this. We've adjusted, well, we're having the drawings adjusted right now to adjust the posts so that it conforms with the stipulation number 1. In terms of the materials, I've got a list of materials here, and it boils down to basically the same as the rest of the house. Cementatious board, wood frame and wood louver blades with insect screen on the attic vent, cementatious staggered edge shaker singles to match the existing house, board and batten. I don't have the exact measurements, but again, to match the existing house. Water table, skirt board, cementatious trim, but to match the existing house. And belly band, cementatious trim to match the existing house. So we're trying to keep it to match the whole rest of the structure, basically.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? No. Okay. Would someone like to make a motion?
Sure. I mean, we usually like to have these details in the packet to approve, but I think given that the house has all of the details and we know what to expect, I'd be happy to make a motion to approve with staff recommendations 1 through 4, modifying recommendation 1 to not include the requirement for the carport post to meet the distance requirements.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion is approved. Item number 5, the COFA for 15 Merriweather Court.
Okay. Okay, we are here, the applicant, Barry Bryant, with BFL Builders, has requested a certificate to allow the construction of a single-family residence of 1637 square feet and an attached carriage house of 840, located at Merriweather Court, and that's in the Landon Oaks development off of Thomas Hayward and is zoned neighborhood general. Here's some just site photos of the location along the roadway. Provided a copy of the landscape plan for you here for your review. It should be noted that there is an existing tree, I believe it's a live oak tree here, that this applicant did receive a variance request to encroach into, I believe it was the side setback in order to minimize impact on this tree. So we've worked with them already to make sure that the goal is to save that tree. And there you see the tree removal plan. There's some ones that are going to be highlighted to be removed, but then, of course, that live oak is right there. It's off a little bit, but you get the gist of it. Here's the proposed front elevation as it is off of Landon Oak. And then you can see elevations of the main structure in the top left corner. That is the side that will be visible from Thomas Hayward. Again, from the carriage house, so this is towards the interior portion of the development. Review criteria, the four that are listed here, specifically dealing with number 2, we have some conditions. So these include providing the specific wall materials as outlined in the code section there. Provide railing details for the exterior carriage house staircase and the handrails on the front porch. Revise location of the windows of the rear west elevation of the main structure and east elevation of the carriage house. And I know we had some discussions on that, and we can discuss that here in a second. Provide the garage door material. Provide the corner board water table details. And then we just said that if a retaining wall is proposed, that if it's exposed wall, it must be tabby coated to match tabby coated piers to be used for the main structure. Provide details show the louvered skirting as a minimum 1 inch behind the face of each pier. Then we have the proposed service yard underneath the carriage house stairway to be relocated to again. This is the one we've been capturing recently of the placement of those units. Also, on the landscape plan is to show that the 75% tree canopy is provided, and then the foundation plantings, just to make sure that they're along the main structure, that it's incorporation, to incorporate a mixture of trees, shrubs, and ground cover. Then obviously a tree removal permit. And then one item we do need determination from the board is dealing whether the hog fence style railing is appropriate material. And it depicts, it says a hog fence style railing on the north elevation, which allows for the code allows for painted or natural wrought or cast iron for the railings and balusters. And they're proposing a zinc prime powder coated steel welded into mesh panels. And then just to go back, when you were to look at it, you can see on the front porch right there. That's what they're proposing. It almost looks like a living fence would. So we just need a determination from the board if you determine that that's appropriate use at that location. Those are all of our findings. You have the ability to submit, to approve as submitted, approve with conditions, or to deny the application. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and then we can actually have the applicant come up as well.
I have one in regards to the, you can go back, what you were just talking about, the hog fencing.
Which one?
The
netting,
the
it looks
net.
like on-
Go back.
Porch, is that on a porch?
Yeah.
Is there anything like that in the neighborhood on other?
I'm not aware of any other railings that have used that material. So we've had, over the years, we've had a bunch of different types of railings that have come in. And so, you have just your standard posts. And from a building code standpoint, as long as there's not a separation of more than, I think it's like 3 inches, 4 inches, you're okay. So in this situation, they'd be okay from a building code standpoint. It's just, it's not a material that is typically used for the railings. So from a staff level, I mean, I don't think we have any issues with it. It's just, since it's not specifically listed, we just want to make sure that you guys are okay with it, and then we can move forward with it.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Sure thing.
So a couple things on that. One of it is the material itself, which in the past we have approved powder coated in the application that it's sort of a historic detailing. The other that we have to consider is whether the detailing itself and the actual application of it is appropriate for what it is. We often have railings that are like an X bracing or something that has wider than 4 inches, and then you have a mesh behind it that'll allow for you to have, to pass code because you have smaller openings. But I don't think we've seen anything like this where it's just the wire mesh.
Is it the White building, does that have it, Bruin?
I don't think so.
Doesn't that match?
That is sounding familiar.
Yeah.
I mean, it is an approved fence, the living fence kind of
Yeah.
concept is an approved fencing type.
Yeah.
There are several houses in Palmetto Bluff that have this, and actually, I've been upstate to communities, historic communities, and I've seen it. I do agree, I think we need to see it because there's a thickness that it needs to be on it. Just can't be the flimsy hog wire that we normally see. But I like it because the boards press against it and you eliminate the possibility of wasp and, things building up in the pickets. I don't have a problem with it. It's actually more than on the front, though. I saw it on the back as well. So it's on the back and the front. It's a nice use
Yeah.
if it's the right material.
And the gauge is thick enough.
Aesthetically, what's the intention of that?
It's on Weicker, right?
Come on, let's go
One of the buildings.
let's talk one at a time. What?
The promenade has it to the building, it's a dark building with brick on the bottom.
Yes, yeah.
The second story balcony level.
That's right, okay.
So it's not forward.
Yeah.
There's two ways I can think of.
Okay, so it sounds like we might be okay with the application of it with the condition that it's of a thick enough gauge to feel appropriate at staff level for review. Unless anybody has issues with that? Okay. Any other questions for staff? The applicant's here to speak. Can you state your name?
Hi, Barry Bryant. Good evening, everybody. I was just going to say, this is not a hill on which we wish to die. You guys don't like it, I don't care, we'll get rid of it and have no railing. So
Sounds like we're
we
leaning
stole
towards
the idea
we're
from
okay.
Weichert over there on 46, which is front and center of the historic district.
What was the aesthetic intention of it?
We just thought it looked cool in the Weichert building, so we decided to put it in our house. A lot of thought went into it, as you can tell.
Yes.
I do have a question. I'd asked Kevin about it, but since the applicant's here, in your narrative, you said you wanted to build a 1.5 story, and this is definitely a 2-story. What was the change on
It is
the?
not a 1.5, per the UDO, you cannot have more than 50%. What's the percentage on the second floor? So to fit into the other building type, we made it a 1.5 story, which means the square footage on the second floor is less than some percentage of the first floor to make it a 1.5.
Boy, it doesn't.
It presents itself as, there are definitely 2 levels.
Yeah.
By definition in the UDO, it is a 1.5 story.
This is considered a 1.5 story.
And in fact, I think on the first page, we even called that out with the square footages to make sure we fit in that.
Yeah, I knew your square footage was right, but being new, I just thought I'd get that clarified. Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Do you want to speak to the comments and conditions?
I thought we nailed most of those after we met, and we submitted the new set of plans. We'll go back and look at them. My only question, the service yard issue is new to us since we built the other homes over there.
It's new to a lot of people.
Is that an IRC issue? Is that a UDO?
Building code.
That is IRC?
Yeah.
Is there a minimum clearance? Because that's not something,
Okay.
we did them on all the other
I
houses.
think it's
and-
technically.
It's good, that's gonna be is it?
There's a number, but I think what they're leaning towards is just being more safe than sorry and having it underneath any flammable.
We're just being, yeah, and from a UDO standpoint, we're just trying to be proactive to make sure that it's addressed at this time in case it then causes a trickle effect of having to make changes.
We don't care. Okay.
It's a mini split.
Okay, good. That's fine.
Okay. Any other questions?
I mean, do you want to address them? I mean, like some of the questions I have, one, the garage door material, what is that? It kind of looks like it might be glass.
It is definitely not glass.
Yeah, I don't remember what it showed.
I think it was just a
It
metal.
looks like it's paneled, but we couldn't tell whether the insets were actual
It
glass
wasn't labeled
or.
what it was.
Yeah, I think that's part of the concern is that.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not, that's
Yeah.
definitely not glass.
As long as it's not a full view, full view glass door, we've,
We're not spending that money, no way.
great.
How about the exterior man doors? So can you go to the rear of the garage? Are they flush doors? What are those doors?
Yeah,
Should look
we
flush.
didn't notice.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
Like
half
the
light.
other ones, we did.
Half light for a door, yeah.
They were called out as wood on the window, on the
They
door
are, it
schedule.
wouldn't be a slab like that, it should be half light.
Half light with a panel beneath it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we did on all the other houses.
Yeah. We can fix that.
Was the front door more clear? The main entry door?
A little bit. It doesn't show a panel, but, if, oh, I guess that one does show a panel. The screen door doesn't show a panel.
I will fix that, that's fine.
What about the service yard? What is that gonna be? I see it right on that elevation.
I can't read the note that's on there. What, can you read the note? Does it say on that note underneath it?
You're asking a lot to read that. That's.
I don't have that.
Yeah, because that was the other thing. Is that about material, you're looking for,
Yeah,
Is it board
putting
on
back,
board?
match the house. The siding of the service yard would match the house. Is that what you're asking? Am I
Yeah, that's what I'm
missing?
asking.
Okay.
So it's like a wall with board and batten on it, or is it board on board? Is it like base boards with a board behind it?
Framed and then sided.
Yeah.
is that gonna be a breathable solution for the air handling equipment? I mean, we'd like to approve something that works and not have your guys come back when the air conditioning installer says that doesn't work for us.
We've done all the other ones and we had the clearances on the other ones. We didn't have a problem with that because we did the same type of service yard everywhere else out there.
Okay. Does that have some sort of wood cap on top of it or?
Yeah, we had a 2x8 cap, I think it was. 2x6 or 2x8 cap.
Yeah.
And that's the same service yard that's in that surrounding houses as well? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. It'll basically match the one that's right next door. Just, that was horizontal lap, I think, as opposed to board and batten.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Just I think Debbie and I are on the same page with trees. I was at your site today, and that is a very important tree. And you're gonna have to deal with that on your last lot, because that's an even more important tree.
That one's actually not on our lot, believe it or not, but
Wow. I'm not sure what you're gonna put on that lot, but just the protection and the piers, and I wanna make sure staff is really focusing on that it's well screened, and not cause anything to hurt those roots. So,
we're actually,
hand digging
that one
for
we're
the
gonna
piers.
screen with a real
tree
fence.
fence?
With a real fence as opposed to just, these guys just run over those tree fences like they're not even there, so. And then that's the only house that we've put on piers out there for that very reason, so that's what the arborist recommended in the letter that is submitted somewhere in there.
And will staff or the arborist dictate how far out that fence is? Who?
7 feet is what we were told, so we're gonna bring it out 7 feet.
And then also with that, with the pier system, I think we're going to focus on more the hand digging aspect of it, just so that will help, yeah.
That was my next thing, that you're gonna hand dig for the piers.
Yep.
Okay.
Since it's so close to the cove, especially when pouring like foundations and there's lots of water, is there a plan for runoff into the creek? Because it is right up against the creek.
We'll run the same type of silt fence we did on the lot next door, and that's, just to be clear, the cove is actually down behind lot 5. That's considered a drainage easement behind where we are. And I get what you're saying.
But it does go to the
cove
cove.
is down, the cove is down there behind lot 5, And we'll run, I think we ran either
But there's
double or
that,
triple.
but when you look on the property, we're talking about 15 Meriwether Court, right? Because there's that, the black plastic fencing, and if you look right over that, there's a large drainage, and then
That's the
there's
drainage
the
easement,
creek,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just a straight drop right into it from the back of the property line.
We'll double screen it the same way we did on lot 6. I think we had either 2 or 3 rows of silt fence on that one. That was something stormwater wanted us to do. We didn't have a problem with that.
Especially when you're doing foundation and concrete, there's just so much runoff. As long as there's a plan.
Yep. We'll make that, our stormwater department picks that up during building permit submittal. So when they submit their plans, they'll have an opportunity to review it. We review it as well for compliance with the COFA. So we'll make sure to put special attention on it to make sure that everything is appropriate, both the tree fencing and then the silt fencing as it relates to, that portion is a ditch, I wouldn't call it a creek, but the actual cove where you have the actual salt water is coming up,
Yeah.
is further away from where this property is located.
And those guys are really good. They're on us.
Oh yeah, our stormwater inspectors, they will shut them down in a heartbeat.
Yeah, they really know.
Sam has me on speed dial.
Yes.
Yeah, are these conditions that need to be in an approval, or is this noted that you'll make sure it's double silt fenced, then there will be a real fence around the tree? Does that need to be in?
If you'd like, what you could do as part of, let me see which condition. As part of the tree removal permit, so hold on a second. Wait. We're not removing the tree, we're keeping the tree. You can just add a comment to make sure that, or a condition to say that the existing live oak at the front has a more robust tree fence around it than the standard, orange mesh fence.
You want to define it as split rail? That's what we'll do. Put it up. Good with you?
There you go.
Okay.
All right, do we have any other questions for the applicant?
Yeah, can we go, can we look at the elevations? I'm sorry.
Yep, give me 1 second, please.
So a question on all the beams that we talked about before. Is your intention that they're gonna be wrapped or are they gonna be solid beams? So I'm talking about the front porch, the 3 beams that run through your screen porch area, and then the bracket for the garage. It looks like the detail on the bracket of the garage looks like it's solid. It looks like these on the porch may be wrapped. So if you go to detail 87.4, good, can you go to that?
Give me 1 second here, please.
I thought we changed.
I thought we changed that to be wrapped in hardy.
The front, the little shed roof over the garage doors, we have a solid beam.
That's important because you have ends on that.
Yeah, and then the rest of them, we had framed with, wrapping them with.
Okay, so if you go to 874, yeah, right there, or sorry, it's 12 on there, the porch beam.
Well, yeah.
So it looks like you have an exposed portion above that wrap. How are you gonna treat that? Because you're just gonna see whatever that.
On the inside?
At the top.
Yep. You have an exposed member that's wrapped up to the top and the bottom of that. How you gonna treat in between each rafter that's exposed? Are you gonna put a piece on it?
We did in the other houses. We have to cover it.
Yeah, right.
That's good. I can't remember what we did in the other house.
You don't wanna see,
No, you're not gonna see like a little 2 inches of wood sticking up, framing sticking there. Yeah. Yeah, he should have shown it going all the way up.
you'd have to cut it out at every rafter, or you put a piece in between each rafter.
Did you have any other questions?
What about the screen porch? There's no real detail of that. What is your intention? Is that just aluminum frame around it?
Same, yeah. I don't think there's any
Yeah, there's no real detail of the screen porch.
The screen porch has a tongue and groove on the bottom of the.
I'm just talking about detail. What's the screen? Is it just aluminum applied in between? There's no detail on that.
Fiberglass screen.
Okay, fiberglass. And then what's that middle?
That's a horizontal 2x.
2 by.
Or 3, yeah, he didn't detail any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's somewhat important, so if we can see a detail of that screen porch, I think that bar needs to be a little bit
Let me
thicker.
give you a section and more detail, yeah. I think that was on his list, and maybe just didn't get that one done. Does he show anything different on the back side of that, on the, like in the rear elevation? Are you able to?
Which page are you?
There.
Yeah, same thing. Those gaps aren't, I don't even think more than 4 feet in width, but, well, let me send you I know, yeah.
And if you like, as moving this forward, these are items that, that when they resubmit it, what we can do is put it on to an HPRC meeting, just to give you an opportunity to just take a look at it.
That was going to be my question. Because
And we can,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
and happy to follow up offline, so that way if there's any minor details that are, we can easily pick them up.
Yeah. So, because typically when we'll approve it and say per staff recommendations or approve at staff level, you can say, well, we'd love to put it before you, but we're not going to see it again. And we don't want to Lisa's point, put more work on their plate when we should be seeing it now. But if it can come back before us, that'd be great, so we can see it at HPRC level. Okay. All right, what other questions? Did you have any others?
No.
Okay. Anybody else?
Questions, no.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Wonder, anything?
Nothing.
Okay. Do we have somewhat of a motion?
I have some further discussion.
Okay.
Another thing on the door, I mean, the doors are drawn flush, but they're supposed to be panel doors. They need some casing on them as well. They look like they're drawn like they have hollow metal frames, but we'll want to see window and door casing on the doors as well. And then I'm still kind of finding the use of casements and double hungs on the house kind of erratic. And especially along the south elevation, the window spacing kind of difficult.
We got double hung casement and awnings, actually.
But there's a lot of casement windows that are very similar size in proportion to double hung windows that are just casements. And there doesn't seem to be a lot of rhyme and reason as to why. It's not like the casements are accent windows or, used in a different way. It's just a little bit haphazard, or kind of a traditional development pattern. You would see more of a lot of double hungs with some, smaller casements, small windows or casements.
Yeah, we're kind of keeping with what we've done on the other 3 houses in there, with the casement, the mix. We have both double hungs and casements or awnings in the other 3 houses. Upstairs, right? Those double hungs were they're driven because of the eave height, which we actually had lower, and then we pushed it up a little bit. So we pushed the roof line up a little bit.
Is there a reason that all of the windows on the second floor aren't at the same head height? I mean, it seems like it's odd that just the 2 on the end are tall at this point. The 2 on the end walls are at 8 feet, and everything else is at 7.
Because we don't have a real tall plate height.
Right. So why is it?
The wall on the gable end, or the window on the gable end, we pushed up, and we made that whole thing an element.
Traditionally, you would see all those windows at the same height. You have a low plate height, you just bring everything down to the same level. It would probably look better on that little bay, having some more bay above that window and not just having that roof.
Okay.
Especially because you see it around that corner.
Yeah, I mean, if you want us to drop that one, we can drop that one. The other ones are all.
But why, like on the south elevation, why aren't those larger windows on the backside double hung, just so that all of the larger windows are double hungs?
South Hill, which I don't even know which is.
Bottom left.
Let me go back to this version right here so we can actually.
Oh, okay, so that's the way we drew it. I don't know, we mixed them up. If you guys have preference, you want to see one thing or the other, tell me and I'll switch it. I don't really care. I mean, they're not very wide windows. One's at the top of the stairs. And then we added another one, we added in the middle of the stairwell, so there'd be something on that.
So that right-hand window just looks like it's,
Yeah, the right one doesn't match the.
it doesn't go with it. It's a weird height and it looks like it's all.
Well, the height's different because it's on a stair landing.
I mean, that to me seems like the spot where you'd use the accent casement window and make it a different size from everything else. You know, make it a small window that's punched in there or something. I mean, that would make this elevation even more blank, so I'm not sure that that's the right answer.
Yeah, no, we wanted a big unit there because the view is right out the back. There's like two or three treads underneath that landing that's under that window. That's why that one sets up a little bit higher than the others. Right, and then,
Do we have any actual?
that one could be
I mean, I just think like the W13 and the W8 should be double hungs at a minimum, and then I don't know, how does everybody else feel about the pairs of casements that are throughout the rest of it? Is that?
It's a bit.
There's pairs of casements on this elevation and then several pairs of casements on the front.
Yeah.
And it feels like it kind of wants to be a double hung house with like a very few number of, like the awning window size windows being awnings or casements, just as accents.
So where is the stair landing in that W5 right there?
It's
Is it
right underneath that unit where your cursor is.
push it down so it's, closer to the floor so you can get that height and put another window above it? Or you make that window smaller?
That window is gonna be taller. I mean, I can't change the stair treads. I'm locked into the stair height. That landing height's what it is.
But how far is that off the landing height? Is
Is it-
2 feet off of it? Is it 3 feet?
It's not a whole lot.
There's no way to bring that head height down is what I'm saying. Can you make that a smaller window?
It is smaller window. It's just up the floor plans.
Oh, yeah, it goes up 2 steps to get there.
Yeah, it's right here.
Go back to where you just were, Kevin. I'm trying to think, it just looks odd to see the windows so different. So your back window, could you not raise that? And I don't know where that goes to, that back window that's so much lower. And you have the 2 windows, and then you have this one that's on the landing. Just to keep it looking more uniform, and
So it's 3
so
steps.
it's a mudroom.
Yeah. We plan to put the double unit there, W13s. We plan to have like a bench put in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Kevin.
So if we put those full-size windows in there, right, then I'm down closer to the floor and I can't do anything in front of them. This is a pretty little house, so we're trying to, make as much use of everything that we can.
I think at this point, we're kind of getting into the weeds, and
Yeah,
I know that we'll
I agree.
workshop this in the next 2.5 hours that we have available.
Sure.
But is it is it something we want to include as a condition to go forth to talk with the HPRC about it when they submit the other details? Would that be acceptable?
There's a lot of discussion on the windows, so.
There's a lot of stuff on windows.
Yeah. Is the commission comfortable with that being at an HPRC?
Well, I mean, I'm on the HPRC, so it's kind of up
How
to
do
you.
we feel about tabling it, them taking care of that and then bringing it back?
That's the other option. If you're not comfortable with it, then we can vote to table it.
I mean, can we just
So,
I'm feeling like I mean, there's flush doors that are panel doors, there's a lot of materials missing, there's not a lot of logic to the windows, and that was kind of mentioned in HPRC before. You know, we're kind of missing details.
I feel it needs to come back with all the details.
We can't actually vote to table, we can just vote to deny, but they can withdraw it, correct?
They can request that y'all table it.
Okay.
So that they can present this information to you at the next meeting or the next meeting where they're available to. Just for everybody's benefit, here's some of the things that I wrote down that y'all seem to have concerns about. And I'm not an architect. I have very little knowledge on half the words that y'all used tonight. So if I get them wrong, please don't judge me. But you have to provide some materials for the hog fence for staff review and approval to make sure that that material is of a sufficient weight and thickness to look consistent with the other use in the historic district. Stair landing window on south elevation. We have W13 and W18 or WH should be double hung. The drop window on the south elevation to review that. Door case, make sure to show the door casing. Detail the screen porch, both the mesh and the 2x2s. Trimmed around the porch beam, make sure to show that. Split rail tree fence would be included in one of the conditions, so we have to make sure that staff incorporates that in the next round. And then with the doors, they should be half light, not slab. And I may have missed one or two things, so.
Double silt fence.
In the double silt fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like,
A lot of this stuff is just minor.
oh, go ahead.
It really seems to me like the windows is the sticking point. The rest of the stuff is incidental, it's simple little stuff.
Well, yeah, it's simple little things, but when you,
The thing where it's like with the windows, I mean, we went through this once and I thought we had pretty well kind of nailed what we had to do. So now, I mean, obviously you have different viewpoints and other things come up. So we're trying to balance what we're allowed to do for the UDO and then try to make everybody happy when everybody has their own opinions. Something's got to, there's got to be a meeting point in the middle, right? But
yeah, and
so we're happy to work with whatever you guys want. Like,
I think what we're concerned about is the lack of detail, the lack of any sort of decision on the windows. There's 3 different header heights at the second floor, so there's a lot of different ways that could go. And I think that combined with all those things, it seems like we're not comfortable with that just being hey, meet with the HPRC, kind of figure it out, because it could change the look of it a decent amount.
yeah, I mean, we can't just sit down with you and because I could see this take another 3 months now, right?
Well, you can request a pre-app meeting with HPRC or a special meeting with us to talk about that beforehand. And we looked at it, and I mean, to Lisa's point earlier, it's a lot of conditions. And then on top of that, with the conditions that we brought up, or the concerns that we brought up since then. I understand it's more time and it's frustrating, but we don't like to set a precedent of approving something that we don't know what it's going to look like.
So
we're going after moving target is what we're doing.
Mr. Chair, so y'all have you can approve with conditions or deny, or the applicant can request that this be tabled so that they can make those changes, meet with HPRC, and then bring it back before y'all.
Question really to try to help the applicant. If we deny it, then it is a longer time to bring it back to us. Am I right?
It will be, yes.
If they withdraw it, it could come back next month if they work on it quickly.
Depending on absolutely. There's a possibility that it could be back next month.
And I don't think, and I've watched these, I know I'm new and I'm not bringing anything new to it. My biggest concern is that these applications come with so many conditions that should have been taken care of before this commission sees it. So that on top of the concerns, to me, it's just too much to vote on tonight for me. But if you withdrew it, then you can be back in 30 days. If we deny it, it is a longer process. And I think it falls on the applicant, not this commission having multiple thoughts.
So if I may, I think based off of everything that's been said, what we can do is the applicant has listened to all these items, get them turned around from a time frame standpoint. Depending on when you can get them, it might just be submitted, but not necessarily fully reviewed before we bring it to HPRC. We can put it on the HPCR agenda just for discussion purposes to kind of take a look at it. And then we can have it, we have a July 2nd meeting is our next meeting. So if they can get a lot of these changes, knock down a lot of those conditions, I think the biggest one is that window configuration. Seems as though the majority of the other ones are just details that are just needed, just buttoning up those details. We can get you in front of the HPRC, and then with that, we would just bring this back at that July 2nd meeting with those changes. And there might still be a few conditions, but we can get those all adjusted and then presented back to you and then hopefully approved at that July 2nd meeting.
So what do you need me to do? Formally withdraw, request a table?
Just request that it be tabled.
Okay, can we request that it be tabled, please?
And then the commission would need to vote to, a motion to table it at the request of the
Do we
applicant.
have a motion to table the,
I move we table the application for 15 Meriwether Court.
do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The application is,
Do we need to vote on the hog salt fence, or is that just something he wanted our thoughts on?
yeah, just like Bob said, we can vote on it the next time when it comes back around.
What typically would happen is staff could, based off of those, what they've heard from you, potentially put that as one of the conditions that staff would recommend.
Okay. Next item is a COFA for 71 Bridge Street.
1 second. Okay, next we have 71 Bridge Street. Is the applicant Ed Johns Jr. with Low Country Custom Home. This is for Jim and Julie Llewellyn. This is for a new two-story single-family residence of 3,100 square feet and a detached two-story carriage house of approximately 1,200 square feet located at 71 Bridge Street. Here you can see where it's located in the Neighborhood Conservation District. Just some images of the site. Obviously, it's brand new. This driveway to the right here, you can see that's the one that Ms. Guccio referred to. And we will work with both the applicant and the Guccios, number one, to determine if there is an ability for them to have access off of that. Legally, if they're allowed to have access off that, which if they are not, then we would have to reconfigure to have a driveway off of Bridge Street, and then it could determine the driveway location, which should not necessarily affect the placement of the house or the carriage house, but we can work through that if that is an issue beyond the actual architectural aspects of the house. So again, the property located, you can see at the top here is Bridge Street. And then the principal structure as well as the accessory structure. The corner of this porch is approximately 31 feet from the property line, so it is pushed back a little bit more. And then you can see what they were proposing was that gravel drive off of the Guccio's property or driveway. Landscape plan was provided. And then from an elevation standpoint, you can see that this structure is at 35 feet 9 inches to the roof, to the ridge line. And then I just wanted to put in perspective the carriage house. So the carriage house is at 25 feet. So proportionate on this image, just to give you the reference point of the hierarchy. Again, the front elevation, excuse me, that's the rear. There's the right, left side, and then I think we had the front previously. And then here's the carriage house here. You can see the front elevation towards the Bridge Street. The right side, that's where the side that would face towards the Guccio's. Hitting the button and it's not doing anything, so give me a second. I go through like 5 slides in a row now. And I just realized that I spelled carriage wrong, so
On both slides.
yes.
No one was gonna say.
Sorry, I'm
Gosh.
sorry. I'm
No
sorry.
one was gonna
I
say
find the one
anything
error and you're upset with me, so,
Well, I noticed it, but I didn't say it.
thank you. Could have said something earlier today. So, okay, so for some reason, it's not working there. But that is a carriage house, not carriage house. So the review criteria, we have listed all 4 of them. Specifically, number 2 is the one that we will be addressing this evening. So the findings, again, the service yard for the main structure must be included. There was not one that was shown on there. And then the service yard under the carriage house, spelled properly, would need to be relocated from underneath the stairwell. Then the screening requirements obviously must be in compliance. And if any of the porches are screened, all the architectural expressions need to be on the outside of the screened material. We need to change the column material to be a material that's permitted. I don't have it listed in front of me, but it should be stated in there as to it was an inappropriate material. It just needs to be listed. I believe it was the ATEX, if I'm correct.
AZAC.
ATAC, yes, thank you. So it's not a material that is listed in the UDO. Provide material for to be used for the railings, balusters, and handrails. Label all the exterior doors on the plan and confirm proposed material and operation of them. We also have label all windows on the plans, conform proposed material and operation. If fixed windows are proposed in the carriage house dormer windows, they need to be changed to operable. Identify roof material to be shown that it's in compliance with the UDO section provided. Provide fence detail that includes scale dimensions to show the front yard fence. It's no taller than 42 inches. And I just realized that that one, it does provide the detail. It was actually on, I believe it was shown on the survey. So that one, it is in compliance. It's at, actually, I believe it's at 40 inches. So we'll just need to, we can, if the condition's listed, we'll make sure that it is addressed in there. Show the shutter material that's being used on the plans. Provide an updated wall section through the eave detail in the main structure that matches the elevations. Then update the landscape plan to match the most recent plans. I believe that the landscape plan that was provided was for a previous version of the house. Show the updated tree canopy calculation to meet that 75% tree canopy. And then we always require a tree permit for removal of any trees over 14 inches in diameter. Also from a determination, and I think this is something that we had discussed earlier, so I might need some assistance from you guys, is the window column staircase configuration on the left side of the elevation of the main structure, and then the configuration of the carriage house. So you can approve as submitted, approve with conditions, or to deny the application as submitted. I do have a motion here and all the conditions, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do you have questions, or do you want to look at those considerations first?
I've got a question.
Sure.
Somewhere I read in there, and I might be wrong, that there was a discrepancy in the square footage of the main house by like 200-300 feet.
Yes, we have, I think there was 3412, and then I think that was a combination of both heated and unheated square footage.
Okay. So does it conform?
Yes, yeah,
The larger square footage?
yes.
The brick wall and post up front, there's a 4'4" tall post on the site plan as well. Does the post need to comply, or just the wall section?
The wall section.
Okay.
Posts can be higher than that, but it's the actual, the horizontal portion of it is the.
Okay, so they can have a lower fence with
a
taller
cap
post at the entry. Okay.
Other questions?
I'm not sure if it's for now or to the applicant, but you were talking about the shared drive, and there's several areas in the district right now that have agreements and actually recorded with the county that there's a maintenance plan for the drive. I know Doug Corker and Laura Barrett's old house on Lawrence, as well as further down. I think that needs to be a condition, definitely, for that family to give approval. And even if they do, I think the construction entrance should be somewhere else, because that is going to damage that dirt gravel road.
Is that
I
gravel
don't
road, is it a shared easement, do we know?
Well, that's what we're going to do the research and find out. So again, if it is not and it's not allowed, then they would adjust their driveway to Bridge Street.
Questions for staff? Do we have questions for the applicant, or is the applicant here to present? Would you like to come forward?
Hey, my name is Ed Johns. I own Low Country Custom Built Homes, and, so I can answer any questions you may have. I'm celebrating our 30-year anniversary this year, so been doing this for 30 years. I love it. My son just joined the company about a year ago. So my daughter just graduated from college, and she's starting in August. We're a family-owned business, and been doing this a while. And I'm not sure if I'm allowed to speak directly to the neighbor, but I can assure you that every neighborhood we build in, we get complimented on a clean job site and how well we take care of our subcontractors and everything. So I know that can just be here speak, but I'm giving you my word in front of this committee and everybody at this meeting that we'll give this lady our card. If she'd like to have it, her grandparents, they can call. Our office is here in Bluffton at the intersection of 278 and Buckwalter Road. We can be there in minutes if there's any problem to help her out. So.
Do we have any specific questions for the applicant?
I do. There's about 3 feet of fall, maybe a little bit more, from the front right corner of the home to the back left. The elevations are drawn with a flat grade line, and then the first floor is not called out by height above sea level or anything. It's just 5 feet off of the finished grade. Where along that 3-foot slope do you see that 5 feet exposure being? Is this going to be 8 feet out of the ground in the back right, or?
Can we go to the, mind if I kind of hit the site?
Yeah. Okay.
So there's a loop of 19 feet above sea level in the kind of around the front right corner of the porch, and then you get all the way down to 16 feet in the back left, back left corner.
You
where
drop
the cursor is.
So you drop about 4 feet to this point. The problem is your elevation is on a flat elevation.
Right,
You should have a flat elevation.
right.
So their concern is that difference, the difference from the front to the back. What is that going to look like?
Yeah, we can get our drainage plan and just have Jim just update the lines on that elevation. Not a problem with the grading. That wouldn't be a problem at all.
Sure. I guess 5 feet's a little extra high. Given that there's that much fall off of it, I think we would just kind of like a general understanding of what you're aiming for.
Is it going to be 5 and 8, or is it 2 and 5, or?
Right.
We'll adjust the elevations to make sure it indicates that slope factor.
Okay,
And
but
so
is it?
If those rear stairs, for instance, had to have an extra tread to them or whatever, we'll show that and we'll indicate it on the elevations and the plans.
Right. So as you go to do that, are you setting the front right corner of the house at 5 feet above, or are you going to try to adjust?
We're setting
That's
to the front.
to the front. So it'll be 8 feet out in the back.
Right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
That was a question that I had for the applicant.
I guess one.
Sure, go for it.
Go to elevation. Just go to the rear elevation.
Let me go to it from here, and I think it might be a little bit easier to see with the full plans.
If you go to the rear.
Yep.
So, is there a reason that doors on the first floor are 6'8" and the ones on the second floor are 8 foot on the rear elevation? So you have 6'8" with a transom, typically it'd be reversed.
Well, we got the transoms on the first floor, we don't on the second
Right,
floor.
typically you have a taller door and you have higher ceilings on the first floor, and the second floor would be smaller, shorter. Is there a reason you do that?
I think when the primary bedroom had to get moved upstairs, I think that's why we made those a little taller, just for the view.
Could you make those 8 foot, I guess, on the first floor? Get rid of the transom.
The transoms? It's good.
That'd be typically what you'd see. You'd have the higher doors.
I mean,
I just ask if there's a reason you did that.
it's just breaking it up. And it's sort of making a statement with the transoms, that's all. More glass.
Yeah, I mean, when you get into 1.4 transoms, you really don't get much glass on there. That's always a concern. I mean, that's what you can have. I mean, they're really dinky. If you can make it 8 foot.
I know my clients would not mind that. I think if for some reason, I thought that might have been on one of the original lists we've had.
I think they wanted transoms originally, but we could so we could actually make those 8 foot.
Okay. I think that, I mean, again, the 1.4 transoms look really, once you get the glass, there's not, there's 8 inches of glass. Which is good.
Right.
And then the other question is, those look like they're 3/4 panel doors, right? I think just look at the second story, if those are full lights, to make sure the proportions of those lights are the same. You might need to add another horizontal light in there. Because they're very tall up front, and down below, they're not as tall. Just look at that if you try to get those proportions closer.
Speaking of height, the houses near you, like this seems like a very tall house. Like you've got Sarah Hooks across the street, the house to the right of you, I know is like a 1-story. Is that any kind of consideration at all, that it just seems like it's a large mass compared to everything around it?
Well, this is the third design we've drawn for the committee. I mean, at first we had the drive, due to the elevation of the property, we tried to do a drive under, and that was our mistake. We didn't realize that we couldn't have a foundation higher than the 5 feet. So we completely redesigned the home, and then we actually had to do it. This is our third, go around. So, we're just trying to get, it's only 30. They want more square footage than they have right now. But I think this is the maximum we're at, obviously, and just trying to squeeze everything in as tight as we can. Like I said, they even put their primary bedroom upstairs, which they really do not want to do.
I think we've appreciated the changes through the process. I've seen some of that, and I think, we appreciate how you guys have adjusted the design. I think the question is, a question related to that is, with being 5 feet out of the ground in the front, is there a reason we're doing that? Is there a reason it's not more like 3 like the rest of the homes in the neighborhood, given the scale of it relative to the neighbors?
I think he was just trying to maximize the view in the back. It's such a nice view. If you'd like for us to lower the front to 2, and I'm sure they would be compliant with that.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that?
I'm curious the heights of and I know the area, and this is 30, what's the height of this house? Was it 30? It wasn't the 3424, or was it? So it's really looking at the houses to the right. They're smaller, but they're still 2-story, or a tall 35, almost 36. I think if you lowered that by 2 feet, I think it helps. You don't want to overpower that street, and that street really is very 1 to 1.5 story.
If we put the front at 3, that would get you 2 feet out of it.
Yeah.
And what's the ordinance?
3. So
if the ordinance
actually,
is at 3, then that takes care of that?
You're in compliance with that.
I think it helps.
So we'd be good with that, I think.
Because you have a 1.5-story elevation on the front, the bearing comes down lower. It's not a full 2-story house. But the elevations that you've shown, it is extra high out of the ground in the front.
2 feet would absolutely.
Is that something we want to include in the conditions? Yeah. Did you have anything else, Tim?
No.
I have one question on the rear elevation. If you can go back to the plans real quick.
Sure.
So right there, it shows the upper finished floor on that left side. And then if you scan your eyes over to the right, you can see that what looks to be the second floor porch is above that. And you can kind of see the door behind it it almost looks like there's a parapet wall on the second floor back porch. Are you seeing that? Oh, it's higher up than the actual.
It really doesn't look like it's 3 feet either. The 3'6" marker that is a foot down.
Well, that 3'6" marker goes down to where it says the upper finished floor. So I guess my question is it supposed to be that high? And is there any drainage that comes out of that porch, or is it supposed to be further down at that level? 'Cause typically we'd have at least a 2-3 inch drop from the finished floor down to the porch level.
You said the there to there.
Right.
It looks like it might have just gotten stretched. And that what looks like a band might be where the floor is supposed to be.
I think the bottom of the band is actually where the top
That's
of the band
the,
is
okay,
supposed
that's
to
what,
be.
I just want to make sure we all see that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're looking at the same thing.
Okay, cool.
So we can fix that.
You can have a pool on the second
Is there
porch.
a detail of that?
I don't know. Do we have a detail of that?
That'd be pretty important how that drains out of there.
I'm gonna slow down. My eyesight's getting worse. That was
A pretty important detail.
Yeah.
Need to be included.
So it'd be nice to include a detail of that in the final.
How the water's getting out of there. I assume it's decking. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Wood decking. So it'll be on sleepers and water's got to get out of there. So.
Correct, exactly, right.
So we'll need a detail of how that happens.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant?
I had just a couple of technical notes. The rake detail is showing a closed soffit, but the rest of them are the open rafters. Assuming you are looking for open rafters, it's shown all over the elevations.
Correct.
So I think we'd like to see that updated in a submission to staff. And then the column detail has, when you look at the column detail, you've got some trim on the side, creating kind of like a band at the bottom of the beam. And it looks like a sandwich of a board beneath the beam and then so if you zoom into that head section on the right, top right corner there. Yep, it's two little 2x2 pieces of trim and then a piece of trim and then another piece of trim. So there's like a whole bunch of seams in there. Is that how you're intending to construct that? Seems like a lot of parts and pieces and.
So 3 seams there.
Yeah, we've done that 2x2 detail bottom for freeze board for a long, beam for a long time. So it's just kind of like
our signature, honestly, yeah, so that.
the 2x2?
Yeah. And that cleans up well enough. There's not a whole bunch of seams there. Okay.
Okay, anything else?
That was no, that was the rest of what I had.
Mr. Fraser, Wonder? Comments or questions? Further?
The summary items that I had, and let me just I'll go to these,
My neighbor, my owner just texted, said they do have a deed for the driveway. I mean, I didn't have to see it, but for that driveway access, just to let y'all know, so.
So the driveway,
For the driveway to access that private, the
You
road.
said deed, so there is no easement there, is what you're saying?
well, I think that's what
Does
it's
that
referring
show?
to, just the access.
And if I may, with that right-of-way issue, I think one of the things you can do if you want to put a condition on that is ensuring that, there is proper access off of the, I don't know if that's a named road. I don't think we can put in there a condition that it be approved by the adjacent property owners. That's delegating your authority to a third party. Or, getting involved in what would otherwise be a neighbor-to-neighbor dispute as to the validity of the existing access easement. So I think we should be careful with how we craft that language because you don't want to inject ourselves into a boundary dispute or an access dispute. So what I would say is, as a condition, just ensure that there is
Proper access.
an appearance of legal valid access off that
Okay.
roadway.
Can we recommend a construction entrance off of Bridge?
Certainly.
Okay.
Any other questions?
is there a plan for parking for construction vehicles and worker vehicles?
I'm sorry, that would be the most difficult thing if we did access Bridge, like your point. I mean, construction vehicles. Most of them get on the site, but it'd be a lot more difficult, I would think. Coming up the bridge, I would think.
So there is no plan?
I missed the question.
I'm just
You should ask, what is your plan for your
I mean,
construction?
normally we just have like the required, gravel entrance way going in.
Oh, I mean for parking, like for all the construction trucks, for the workers,
Just like every
because
home.
there's no street parking in that area.
All right, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be fun. We've already talked about it. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of on-site parking, correct?
So they would just park on the property?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that side of Bridge Street doesn't have a curb at this point. Maybe it will when they do the streetscape project, but is there a reason that you couldn't come in with the construction entrance between the bollards of the fence and the brick fence up front and use that as a construction entrance access?
They would wait to do the brick fence until towards the end.
Right, yeah, but you would have your gravel there and everything in place, yeah.
And that's something we can work with them, so when they do go
Staff
to submit their building permits, that's an item. Again, our stormwater department reviews that for compliance to make sure that where their entrance is located and all the necessary silt fencing. You don't have to make that as the silt fencing as a condition. That's already a requirement, so. If I could, I think all of the conditions that have been listed, on the proper, on here. And then, to update the rack detail, make sure that there's proper legal access, off of the roadway. Obviously the construction entrance, the goal is to have the construction entrance off of Bridge Street. Remove the transom, on the rear doors on the first floor to make them 8-foot doors. Obviously in compliance with the UDO. Change those 4 lights to 6 lights on the second floor doors. Reduce the foundation by 2 feet and then provide a decking detail at the rear.
We do need to discuss the 2 determination items.
Oh, yes.
One is the stair and the other is the window configuration on the left elevation. Did you have something specific you were looking for there?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure what the intent was that. Let's see here, left side.
My guess would be it's the
Upstairs.
the upstairs windows that are kind of a pair of casements. That are
You know
split.
what? I think it's the separation between the 2 windows. Is that?
Really thick mold.
Give me 1 second here.
What are everybody's thoughts on those windows? It kind of matches what is going on in the front, but they omitted one of the windows.
So if you find that it's appropriate.
They have a wall splitting it on the inside? Is that what they're doing?
There's a shower wall, but it's kind of in the middle of one of the windows in the floor plan.
Yeah, okay.
Function of it.
Whoa, that doesn't.
I think that was correctly over here. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I think the headlight is probably more of an issue. There seems to be a lot of space between the top of the heads. I don't know if the windows can move up a little bit.
What is the header height? 7? It says 7 over there.
It's less than 7 if your eye runs across. Is there a reason that those windows are so low on the elevation?
No.
Raise them.
Raise it up.
I mean, it's just drawn lower than it's noted on the other side, so if that was it 7 feet, then.
2 feet of headlight.
Yep.
Pretty, it should be more.
Headlight to the door.
More like up at 8 feet is what you're thinking.
It's either the window should move up or the header should move down.
That's what it was.
If you did 8, then
What they
you
did, what we did originally was match the head height of the door, the entry door.
Yeah.
And then ran it all the way across, so that's why those windows are where they are at the moment. But we could adjust them up, I would say anywhere from 6 to 12 inches and see if that doesn't help balance that elevation out a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's both elevations, front and back.
Yeah. So bring it up and keep the door at 7?
Do you see them?
I think that's fine, given that the door's underneath the bracketed roof and it's a different
that it's
approach
set
on the
back.
windows, the door and windows.
Okay. So we'll want to include that as a condition.
Can you go to the front of that?
Are there any other thoughts on that?
I mean, do the windows need to get taller if that's the case? The windows need to stretch reduce, you move up. Now you have a bunch of space between the roof and
I don't think they need to get any taller and skinnier.
No, I think just move up. Any other thoughts?
the, I obviously should bring that header down to 8 feet.
The plate height of the door?
Sorry,
Yeah.
Plate height, not the header.
I don't have a preference either way.
That would look better, but it would be lowering your ceiling in the bathroom by a foot. Any thoughts on that?
I was thinking, can we increase the overhang on the door? I mean, you're trying to reduce that.
No,
Just
I mean,
the
I
amount
don't
of
think
wall.
You still have that space, no matter, especially you look in perspective. You have 2 feet between the top of the window and the bottom of the rafter.
At this point, honestly, whatever y'all want for us to do, we're happy to do it. I mean,
I think those are 2 solutions, so I think you guys need to tell us what you need to do. So either lower the plate or raise the head height windows.
You can probably roll it up, save a little bit, and not sacrifice too much ceiling height.
Okay.
So we could like sneak 6 inches out of it.
Okay.
So lower the plate height by
6 inches or so. The windows where they are, everything's in alignment.
Gotcha.
Okay. Are there other thoughts on that or comments? Okay. The other item for consideration.
We had window column staircase configuration on left elevation of main structure.
I think if you go to the left elevation, there is a stair that is set to the side against a column, and there's a window that's centered between the columns. It's on the main house.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I'm assuming that's asking, should that stair be centered in between the columns or not?
Oh, right here,
And
okay.
the window's not being centered in the bay.
Just bring the railing over and then just shift
No problem.
the.
Okay.
Yeah, that would look better.
We're good with that.
Absolutely.
That's an easy fix.
Should have started with that one. Okay, any other questions for the applicant?
Down there?
You want me to, let me,
Conditions
yeah,
plus?
so again, we have the conditions that were listed in the staff report as shown on the screen. We talked about updating the rack detail, ensuring proper legal access off of the side road, as we refer to it, that the construction entrance would be off of Bridge Street, remove transom on first floor rear doors to make it an 8-foot door, change the 4 lights to 6 lights on the second floor doors on the rear, reduce foundation by 2 feet, lower plate height on carriage house. We got that right? And then shift left side stairs on the main structure to align with the window placement.
That good?
So moved would work.
I was about to so move that.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this?
I'm sorry, who seconded?
Carlita.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion is passed. Okay. Item number 7, COFA for 22 Bruin Road.
Okay. All right, we're here this evening with, I've got the wrong information on here.
He's leaving.
Yes, he is. That is not, John. I thought I had updated. Greg Harold for Bertha Wooten, so please excuse me on that one. I thought I had changed it. It must have not changed over here. So this is a single-family residential structure of approximately 1,696 square feet and an attached one-story garage, which is the carriage house, for 688 square feet located at 22 Bruin Road. It's in the Historic District zoned neighborhood general. You can see here on the zoning map that is located here off of Bruin between Maiden Lane and Pritchard Street, and it is an undeveloped lot at this time. Here's just a photo of the site. This is just an image where you can see that the applicant, we have the front of the building off of Bruin, taking the driveway to the rear where that connected carriage house or garage is back there. This is the landscape plan, and you'll see one of the comments I have further on is that the landscape plan needs to be updated to match what the plans are being proposed. The plans do show access off the front, and then this plan just has it shown access off of the side of the porch. So just a minor update, nothing major at that point. Here is your front elevation. The rear elevation to the side, obviously the carriage house is towards the left. Side elevation with the service yard. And then that left elevation showing the garage detailed. So we have the 4 review criteria listed, specifically with number 2. We have some conditions, and that is to provide additional windows on the right and left elevations of the main structure to comply with the code section. Eliminate the corner window on the rear elevation or reconsider window placement to space the rear bathroom windows in a logical manner. That's in compliance with the code section listed. And then if electrical meters are being placed in the service yard, that the gate must be removed. If electrical meters are located elsewhere in public view, that they need to be screened. And this is a requirement from both Dominion and SE&G, or actually Palmetto Electric, excuse me. Dominion was SE&G, that they have to have free access to electrical panels and meters, so that way they can't have it behind any gates whatsoever. Even if the gate is unlocked, it can't be there. So that's an item that we have to make sure that is in compliance. And then revise the rear porch post spacing that's in compliance. Provide the materials to be used for that porch. Remove the fixed window on the porch gable and change the fixed window in the rear elevation to be operable. Change the material for the rear porch French doors to be wood, metal, or clad. Provide the water corner board details. Provide freeze materials. Change the soffit to either be bead or grooved. The bead or V-grooved, tongue and groove. Demonstrate the 75% tree canopy. Then we just need to make sure, obviously for the tree removal permit, that they provide the trees to be removed and their breast height. So with that, the actions are to approve the application as submitted, approve it with conditions, or to deny the application. I am happy to answer any questions you may have, and we can, if you like, we can go back and discuss some of these conditions if you so choose.
Okay. Do we have questions for staff?
I don't want to derail this, but the electric meter requirement, we're going to see that on everything, including commercial projects?
That's an always, yeah.
Okay.
And
so we'll just have to figure that out as we go forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So and we'll pick that up obviously we pick it up during building permit. So
yeah.
At this point, I don't know how far MEPs have gone through, but we just need to make sure that it meets those requirements.
Something to think about when we're reviewing big commercial projects with the electric meter and with a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
It has to be screened, but it has to be accessible.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I mean, it could be, it can be, if you're having your service yard, and your meters happen to be in there, then yes, I mean, you can still screen without having a gate.
Sure.
Like an airport bathroom.
There you go.
Yeah, and if for some reason that let's say that your electrical meter was up towards the front of the house, then, you'd have the ability, you could easily put a panel, off the side to screen it specifically from the roadway.
All right, any other questions for staff?
So I would assume that the applicant has already seen all of these recommendations and these conditions. How many of these have already stated that they have completed or have provided, like the chimney detailed, revising the rear porch? I mean, these are a lot of things that are coming before us tonight that it seems like it's just missing important details.
Yeah, it's a lot of the details, while they're shown on the elevations, we need to, again, from the detail standpoint, to make sure that they do meet the code requirements.
Why do you think we keep getting these same issues keep coming up? Do you think they're not reading the UDO? Do you think as an architect not familiar with the UDO?
I think everything you've stated is correct, and that's a more generalized term where we do have individuals that, for whatever reason, these items are provided at the HPRC comments, and then some of them are not
Addressed.
brought over to the final. So.
And it's more administrative, thank you, Chair, more administrative. Again, this was when I was going to kind of preach, but Evan's taken it from me, so I'm glad. It's just so much to bring and then to throw back at you, and then you have all these other things going on, and before you know it, you have another month of HPC.
Correct.
I don't feel like it's this side's fault that things are delayed when this happens. So maybe administratively, maybe there's some way we know someone new, if this is a new builder, a new architect, maybe there's some upfront thing when you go through HPRC saying this cannot come to the commission. There's just too many things to even clearly give you a good motion. So I'm kind of preaching.
Thank you. Yep.
But
Aware.
Well, and I think you mentioned staff was working on a better checklist
Yes.
review. And, there is a big jump in level of detail between HPRC and this submission.
Yeah.
And a lot of those things end up being what's missing.
okay.
Yes. And we do provide a lot of that information, and I know we're here specifically for 22 Bruin at this moment, but yes, that's a higher level, and we can have that discussion, so.
Right. So again, my question is, if they've already seen this and the applicant can speak on this when it is their time to do so, but wanting to know how many of these they have already executed.
So if I may, I think a lot of the comments are provided here. You can see that where we require, multiple items.
Or wasn't that Katie Pearson was still here?
Yep.
The last round,
Yes.
Okay.
So that was January of 24.
Are talking with Carlita, the left side where you say roof line and their check marks, is that staff or is that?
No, those are, I believe those are comments that the applicant had.
Said, okay, I'll do.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff before is the applicant here to present?
Yes.
Good evening, Greg Harrell. This is kind of the first time I've seen this list here. Obviously, there was an initial one back in, a year and a half ago that I worked on, and somebody else submitted it, and I took and kind of redesigned the house and made the changes.
Would you like to, can you speak to the conditions that are listed by staff?
Provide additional windows on the right and left elevations and the main structure to comply.
I think I looked at the drawings if it's more helpful.
scroll up and down.
Okay, so when it said provide, I don't have that list here, but provide additional windows.
Right there.
Just right.
Yeah, so it says restudy the roof line and then provide additional windows, right, left elevations of the main structure to comply with UDO sections. That was number 2.
So yeah, if you can scroll down to the left and right elevations, you look at the, they're big blank walls is what the issue is. And there's opportunities to put windows in those bedrooms. You can see there's big blank wall to the left.
Okay,
there.
so one could be put in the left, as you see, the left side of that elevation.
The right side is also the same thing. Those are bedrooms, so they're pretty easily to put a window in there. Otherwise, they're big blank walls.
Right, I know the reason I did on the other one, because of the master bedroom, you know, the front side of it's all windows, and if you put windows on the back side, it's kind of like, I was thinking of furniture-wise.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have a wall to put a bed up against unless it's straight up against the window.
Well, I looked at that plan and I think and I've seen houses with that. I think those 2 windows do work with even a king-size bed with side tables.
Okay,
I think
it
you
will
have-
fit.
you
I mean,
have-
I don't have a problem, you know, adding
Yeah.
a pair of windows there.
2, even one that's back there to help that. I mean, it's one window in those sides. I don't think that's an issue in those bedrooms looking at it.
Yeah, so I mean, I could add, you know, one window on each side in each bedroom. Eliminate the corner window in the rear elevation or reconsider window placement. I assume you're probably referring to one in
This guy, yeah.
the smaller window there. You know, that's a bathroom. I mean, it doesn't have to have a window there. It could be eliminated.
Yeah, the one window is very foreign. It's a big shutter, single shutter, and the divides are very different than everywhere else.
That can be eliminated. Electric meters, place the service gate must, that's just removing the service yard.
Yep.
The gate
Yep.
there, so that's no big deal. Provide chimney details. I mean, I assume you want dimensions and stuff.
Yep.
On that detail.
The metal arrestor has to be screened, so you have to have some kind of, whether it's a Gothic arch or something to screen it. They can't, because what's gonna happen, is it's not shown on there, it'll be a metal arrestor, and that can't be exposed, basically.
Okay. Revised rear porch, spacing on the posts. I tried to add another one there, but if I put another one there, then it's kind of, and equally space them, it's kind of in front of the kitchen window, but not in the center of the kitchen window, so it looked kind of weird when I drew that up. It looked better just to leave them spaced like that, but.
How far off are you, do you know? Well, I mean, could you add another post close to it, so there's double posts in the middle, or?
Like a double post right there.
Yeah, I mean, I could
Balance
add a single, another post there.
Yeah.
My first thought was, try to keep them equally spaced, but that didn't
Yeah, we appreciate,
technically work out that well.
we appreciate that. We have this conversation a lot. It's just kind of one of those specific things in the UDO, and you just kind of need to make it work. And that is a requirement across the board. We have this conversation all of the time.
Provide material to be used in the porch post, comply with UDO. I mean,
Yeah, so just when you're providing the details, like specifically listing out what materials are being used right there, so.
okay. Moved fixed window in the porch gable and changed fixed window on the rear. Okay, so no window in the gable then?
Yep.
All right, that's no big deal to remove that.
And that was just because it was a fixed window?
I believe so, yep.
I mean, is that like a sash set window, like casement, or is that a direct set, small frame? I mean, I think if
Just a small
if it's
fixed
fixed,
window.
if it's
I mean,
fixed,
it
but
could
it
be a
is
single
sash
hung.
set like a casement window and it has that thicker frame to it, I think that I would be all right with keeping that window. Right.
I mean, to me, it's gonna look a little bland if you remove it, but. on
Yeah, I
the
tend to
gable.
agree.
And as long as it looks like, I think as long as it looks like an operable window and
Yeah, it
it
doesn't
doesn't have that
look like-
function here, I think I would be in support of that as a determination by us.
So if you said to change, we can change to a operable?
It has to look like an operable, it can't be direct set, is what we're saying. Direct set would have a smaller sash around it.
Okay.
A casement picture.
Stronger thoughts.
Yeah, so for the French door, it's just the material wise, it needs to be either the wood, metal, or metal clad. That's
Okay.
listed in there, so.
All right.
And then providing the details of your water boards, the freeze material, providing the details, and also determine, which is it, change the soffit to bead or V-groove, tongue and groove. So.
Okay. That's no problem.
The tree canopy, work on that one, and then the list of trees. I think the number one condition, and I think that's where we had some concerns, was the roof. So, we're, again, recently the roof to be less complex, and we'll just go to the others. Yeah. It's a lot of roof.
Yeah, I think if we could get to where the main portion of the house had the hipped roof on it and that back porch was a lower slope roof that leaned against it, so you didn't have the little nib behind the chimney, that would.
Roof instead of coming off the porch.
Still
you
be
mean?
hip
Yeah.
with a lower.
Like a shed.
It could still be hipped, but if we could eliminate that nib that comes up behind the chimney and just have that front roof be simple.
So look at the front of the house, you have that straight ridge that goes across, you don't have that little bump up. So if you commit to like the back portion, make it a lower.
Right there behind the chimney.
Yeah, see how it bumps up there, if you can have that go straight across.
I think that would go a long way into simplifying the roof form.
Just have a lower pitch over that screen portion then. So it's captured
Come up
underneath that
above
ridge.
the main ridge line.
So, yeah, can you go down just a little bit? Sure. The rear elevation. So if you make that a lower pitch roof, you could capture that under that main roof that's over the porch. That's what we're saying.
So you'd get one large hip off of that main rectangle, and then the porch roof would just die into it on the backside.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out when that changes the slope next to that one there, which is.
Just use the slope over there. I mean, it's the back hip. Is this going to be the slope's going to be different? You just have to play with that. But the idea is to capture under that main ridge. Look at the front, you don't have this little bump up.
Okay. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, so you're talking about changing this.
Yep.
Just this.
I think that.
So it comes in, say, down.
Portion right here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So you get that sort of ridge where it hits that roof is behind that ridge right there. So, yeah.
Okay. I understand.
Yep, okay, all right. Those were all of the conditions that staff had listed. So it sounds like you understand what the items are to be addressed. And then specifically under item number 8, under the conditions, let me get back over to it real quick. Where we have change, oh wait, hold on, am I on the one? Yeah. Oh, number 7, sorry. Where it says, remove the fixed window on the porch gable, we're actually going to say change to operable window.
Or the appearance of an operable window.
Change to operable or appearance. Okay?
Any others? Okay. Would someone like to make a motion? Is there any other discussion before that? Okay. I'll make a motion as stated. Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
I did have, there was one other point in here, sorry, on my notes, that wasn't in the staff comments, and that was that the beam column alignment, the beam is wider than the column that it sits on, and that's a requirement in the UDO that those be equal. That's 5.15.6H. That was on the detail sheet at the end of the packet here.
There it is.
So the column, or the beam is wider than the neck of the column beneath it. So I think that's an easy change, but I would like to include that in the motion.
Okay.
That,
That's the, you're saying flush with the column?
the width of the beam and the width of the column be the same. And I think we probably have to.
You still have a cap around it, right?
Right.
Yeah, you
So
can still have a cap, but the beam, the face of the beam should align with the face of the column. Yeah. Do we need?
So I think I need to make a motion to amend.
A motion to amend the previous motion to add an additional condition, which is
Motion to amend the previous motion to include the condition that the width of the beam and the neck of the column match as required by the UDO 515.6H.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor of that amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, and now we have to vote on this
the
one.
motion as amended.
Yes, it's already been motioned and seconded. Okay,
You good?
all right. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor of the amended motion? Okay.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed.
We'll write it up and send it to you. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yep.
Do not let one people know. Don't have to do it.
Okay.
So I'm smiling.
We have item number 8, a COFA for 42 Wharf Street.
That's what I want here, okay. It's here, all right. So we have a request this evening for the applicant, John Montgomery. This is to allow the construction of a single-family residence of approximately 2,120 square feet and a detached carriage house of approximately 1,120 feet located at 42 Wharf Street, and that's zoned in the Neighborhood General District. You can see the property is located here off of Wharf Street. From a site plan standpoint, let me make this. There we go. You can see, again, the house located at the front, carriage house is in the rear. Here's the proposed elevation for the left side. And I wanted to make sure to include, while the two images were provided in the report where they show they look really close together, they're not. They're actually 30 feet apart. So please take that into consideration. They are not, from a proximity standpoint, they're not as close as they appear. There's the right elevation, the front elevations of both the main structure as well as the accessory structure. And then you can see the rear elevation of the main structure and rear elevation of the carriage house. And this is where it locks up on me. Okay. So we have the 4 review criteria, also specifically for item number 2. We have some staff conditions. We would need to provide the service yard details that are in compliance with the UDO requirements, revise the chimney to comply with the UDO requirements, similar to what we just discussed, identify the hogs pen material to be used on the carriage house to make sure that it's in compliance with the UDO, identify the material for the doors to be used on the ground floor front facade of the carriage house that complies with the UDO. And then the doors must match the door schedule, and then change the slider door to be a permitted door operation. Slider doors are not allowed. And if the window schedule is to include aluminum windows instead of vinyl, update the window schedule. Identify the gauge of the gutters that are shown. Identify the material of the fence proposed in the rear of the property. Remove the closed shutter from the left elevation, and we'll come back to discuss that one in just a moment. Provide the materials to use for the fascia and soffits. Provide them detailed for the louvered skirting. update the landscape plan to match the most recent site plan, footprints of both the main structure and carriage house. Conformance with a 75% tree canopy, a tree removal permit will be required. With that, you can approve the application as submitted. You can approve it with conditions, or you can deny the application. Happy to go back and discuss any of these items you may have, and the applicant is here.
Do we have questions for staff?
I do.
Yes.
This thing looks really tall to me, including the height of the chimney. How tall is it?
Let's do this. Let me go to the plans.
I'm just thinking in relation to what's around it.
Yeah. Okay, so 29.5 is to the ridge, and unfortunately guesstimate a little bit. That's probably another 3.5 to 4 feet so to the top. Now, appurtenances are allowed to be obviously a little bit higher. So our focus is always on the ridge line of the structure. So you can see that that's at the 29.5.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. If I may, while we're kind of sitting here, I know that one of the concerns we had was this closed window structure. That's it's a faux architectural element, which the UDO, obviously the entire intent is not natural materials. I'm trying to use my words here, but
Practical, actual.
yes, thank you. So I'll worry on item number 7. So yes, so it's just I think that one of our concerns is just that it's not appropriate. If anything, there is a staircase behind that, which is why that there's no opportunity to have a window placed right there, just because it would literally be through the rise of the stairs. So that was a concern. The other one I think we had talked about is the louvers, the fascia. One of them that was discussed was at the rear for the water table. Here you can see at that rear portion of it does not extend across to where the bead and batten, board and batten, excuse me, just drops down to the bottom. So just updating that as well. And I'm rambling at this point and happy to let you guys ask any questions.
What other questions we have for staff?
You didn't mention I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
The carriage house in back, it looks like it's equal, if not higher, than the main house. Is that, but I didn't see you mention that in the.
Correct. And for some reason, I thought I had a plan that
Looking at 2 previous ones we've looked at, I wrote it down. The Pritchard Street was 9 feet and 8 feet. I think this is 10 and 9.
Yeah, so you can see here that the principal structure is at 26 feet on the rear elevation. So just make sure you understand. You have the front at 29, the rear is at 26, and then for the carriage house, you're at 25.5. So it's only a few inches off.
But thinking of the neighbor behind, I mean, I'm just looking at the whole neighborhood. Is that, and I'm new, so I'll go to y'all, but is it the mass too big for that? Looking on a yard behind them, should it be a 9 and 8 to lower it, just a little bit more to make it not look like it's overbearing to the neighbors and more south and west of them?
The 9-foot plate on the first floor and 10-foot plate on the second floor feels a little odd. Typically, you'd have it be a taller plate head on the first floor and lower on the second.
Maybe I'm scrolling here fast.
We've pushed back on the height of similar carriage houses in the past. The 10 is really tall. The 9's pretty typical.
In fact, they can
8, most of them are 8 or less, if not kind of like the main house is down at 6 with the slope up. It's a very tall carriage house. The main house, I think, it looks tall, but it's really kind of a skinny proportion. Looking at some of the houses, colorful houses down the street there, 2 stories, it's pretty much a really similar scale for the main house, but this carriage house is quite tall.
I'd like to see the plate height brought down at least a foot. And then at that point, you can leave the brackets and the bracketed roof over the door, or over that balcony over there. But you might not even need it on this elevation, or you pull it down and eliminate the transom. Does anybody have any specific
Yeah, I mean,
thoughts
again,
on
the
starting
transom's gonna be 1'4", and it's just what we talked about before. You're gonna have 8 inches of glass in there, and I don't think it does, I don't know. But you could lower that plate and get rid of the transom, and I think it would look better. Yeah, it is very tall.
Well, would we like to hear from the applicant before we get too much further into the
Yeah,
discussion?
we are kind of into that.
Hi, I'm John Montgomery. I'm here to answer any questions you might have to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Can you speak to the plate height a little bit? Do you want to give some background?
For just for the second story there, how tall it is, yeah. This was a plan that was recommended from our architect for a property that he built over in Habersham. So it was based off of that. We did look at it, that the carriage house does have to be, less than the main house, and so we did take that into consideration. And it does meet those needs. The neighboring house to the north also has a carriage house, 2 stories, so I think it goes in very well. And then the main house actually looks very similar to the house, just two down. So I think it fits in pretty well. And then if you're comparing it to the neighbors who we share a fence with, fence is in bad shape, so we'll make sure we address that, and it'll be replaced with wood. It's kind of fallen over right now, but there is a fence that exists there. But there is pretty good tree coverage there as well. There's a large oak tree in the back, which we are preserving. It's more on the neighbor's yard, but it does have a little bit of carryover there. So it does shade it a little bit. It's not just this stark building that's up behind the fence.
Speaking about your live oak, I noticed on the arborist review, it says that that particular live oak in the back can be vulnerable to construction.
Yeah.
So is there a plan to?
Yes, yeah. In the landscape plan, we outlined how we're going to put fencing around the trees to protect it. I also had an arborist come out and inspect all of the trees, and she put in a recommendation to remove the laurel oak in the
Saw
middle.
that.
And so we're taking precautions to protect the trees that are existing there.
What is the thought behind not preserving that laurel oak that's in the middle of the property? I mean, it's pretty well separated from the structures that are there. It's a nice tall tree.
When you look at it, it's not in the best health, but also from the neighbor from the north, she complained about that tree because a big branch came over and knocked the fence down off that tree. And so I'm worried that if we start building around that, it's going to continue to fall on the new stuff. And so I was really just trying to appease her, and she really wanted it to be gone, to be frank. So that way it protects her property from getting any damage.
Thank you. That's helpful additional commentary to the arborist
yeah.
report, which was kind of like construction could make it diseased.
No, I mean, it had branches fall over, cause some damage to a property. So, yeah, I'm just trying to keep her happy.
Any other questions for the applicant? Start down here.
Yeah,
As we can go to the main elevations, I just have one question on the house, the side elevation. The other side. Yeah, there you go. So it was one of the comments in the HVRC is that the piers that are at the screen porch, they look like they're leftovers or where there were once porch columns. So can we eliminate those and just have the louver go all the way?
Yeah, that's easy to do.
And then the board and batten on that, I think it was the primary bathroom in the back. Are you okay with that coming up? Can't really see
Yeah,
it from
that's
that.
fine.
Is there a reason why that is lower?
Nothing was stated by the architect, so I'm sure we can bring it up.
Okay. So just match the panel to the right?
Yeah.
So it would have the baseboard.
Yep.
What else? Do we want to tackle the shutter discussion?
Yeah, I mean, we traditionally have not allowed fixed shutters like that. I would rather see it go than stay, just because I think that that's a slippery slope in town to just having those on all sorts of commercial buildings and restaurants and things, rather than challenging people to design more thoughtfully.
I agree. I think it should go.
I also agree.
I tend to
I
agree.
mean, we all disagree, so yeah.
Do you have any?
We only added it because it was a comment from the previous review to put that in there.
It's gonna be a big blank wall on mine.
Yeah.
There will be a wall if you're okay with that.
You got a trellis?
We can
I'm
put
kidding.
one in, I mean-
I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
To have a blank. Just have it.
I mean, I could talk to my landscape architect and we could put some taller plants there. And that could make the wall feel not as blank.
Yeah, that would be nice.
So it's, we have a big blank wall there.
Let's include that in our comments then. I appreciate that.
We're relying on landscaping there, which is not always something we want to do. But I think that's I agree, that's a minimum, either that or a trellis, but I think that.
If that's something that the commission is interested in, one of the things that we can do is,
These for landscaping.
Yeah.
so you can see that area. So here's the driveway. So this is the wall we're referring to. We do allow for appurtenances to go into the setback. So what we can do is kind of shift over where your fireplace is. That portion could go into the setback, and we'd move the corner of the building to the setback line. That would give a little bit more separation, so you can get some landscaping on that side where that wall is. So we could probably get an extra, 1 to 2 feet shifted over, and then that way we'd have some space along that side wall to provide some taller, like skinnier type of shrubs to help to, natural.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with going into that setback. I mean, it's just gonna be garden area anyway. And then you've got, since it's kind of at an angle anyway, because it's gotta be parallel with the front, that, you're still gonna have pretty decent setbacks on the side, and I don't think it's really gonna impede. So if you're okay with that, I think that's actually preferred for us.
Okay, good. Other questions?
Anybody?
Did we address the carriage house or just make comments?
Well, we didn't really come to a conclusion.
It was fine in Habersham, but it feels too close to the same height of the main house. If you could take a foot off and get it 9 and 8. Again, I don't understand either why the top floor is so much taller than the bottom.
It's a vaulted ceiling, so I think it is.
Well, and then I don't think you'll lose it if you drop it a foot.
I don't think the bottom floor is the issue, I think the top floor.
It's just, to me, it was the total, lose it somewhere, but.
You lose a foot on top, I think that house quite a bit, it's proportion. Yeah. You have a lot going on, that first floor is pretty wide with the.
You suggest taking off the windows from above the transom.
So I think when you bring everything down, you're gonna find that you need to take that off.
You need to take that off, yeah, that's fine. And we'll also address the sliding doors. We'll probably make those French doors.
Okay.
For that upper story in the carriage house. They'll be a little skinny, but I think that works well with the space there.
Any other thoughts down there on the height of the carriage house beyond what was said?
I like that they're gonna lower it.
It's less material, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
So,
We've reduced your costs on that funny little closed window and.
So if I may, I think I was capturing everything. Obviously, the staff recommendations as shown. And then under number 8, where it says remove closed shutter on the left elevation, we're good with that. That item staying in there. Then we could shift the principal structure so that the chimney or the appurtenance is into the setback but still the corner of the building would meet the setback requirements. And then remove transom for a carriage house and reduce height. Then we also include remove the piers from the right side as shown on the plans. Extend the water board around to the rear where the board and batten is located.
Or not extend the water board, but just bring the board and batten siding up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bring board and batten siding
Yeah,
up.
there's no fan board on the lap. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yep. Sorry. Okay. I believe that was it.
Okay. Any others?
We'll clean up the details on the materials, so that was a mistake on my fault. So we'll get that all cleared up as outlined.
Someone like to make a motion as Kevin so eloquently stated?
I will make the motion that we approve this application with the conditions listed along with the conditions you just read to us.
Is there a second? Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We'll work on getting that to you. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Passed. Thank you. Okay, last item is 135 Bridge Street, and I believe we have a recusal. Okay.
And for the record, that's Mr. Prost is stepping down and recusing himself from the next item. Oh, yeah, he can just leave.
He's like recusing and he's gone.
There is no reason for him to stay.
Okay.
Since that is the last item, and we
Yes.
still have a quorum, so we are good. Okay. We are here this evening for our last item, 135 Bridge Street. And this is to allow for the construction of a single-family residence, approximately 5,240 square feet, and a detached carriage house of 1,198 square feet located at 135 Bridge Street, and this is in the Riverfront Edge zoning district. Again, here's the location map where you can see it is located on the May River. So this is photos of the original house. So this house, I say recently, within the past couple months, unfortunately had burned down. So the site has since been cleared. There were some concerns about the code currently requires that in the riverfront edge that principal structures are at least 150 feet from the OCRM line. The existing structure was within that area. The zoning administrator, the UDO administrator did make a determination that it is allowed to be rebuilt under the footprint that was previously there. So you will notice that it is at the existing footprint location, which is consistent for that building. A copy of the landscape plan had been provided to you. I believe it was a very robust landscape plan. We have the multiple elevations. While the sheet says the front elevation, we would also make sure to refer to this as the street side elevation. So this is the side that would face towards Bridge Street. Here's the left elevation, right elevation, and then this would be the river elevation. So this is the elevation that you would see from the river. We have the 4 review criteria listed, and then specifically for number 2. I think this is where it decides to lock up on me. Okay, so some of the conditions that we have is that the service yard details must be provided and that they're in compliance with the code. We need to identify the roof material. And then it says identify a local source of bricks to be used for the walls of carriage house number 2, or if bricks are to be salvaged. And then if neither, then we need a determination for the appropriateness. And the material sample of the brick to be applied for the entirety of the new construction should be provided for us to review it. To revise the doors with the AZEC material to a material that is permitted by the UDO. Change the oval window that's on that the one elevation to a configuration and operation that is permitted by the code. Change all fixed glass windows to operational. And then this item number 7 here, we actually have it listed here, but I believe that upon further review that this material that's being proposed, the ash fly trim material is actually a boral. Am I correct saying that? Material that is acceptable. So this item, we can actually, when you make a motion, we're going to remove that item number 7 that's listed on here. And then just to make sure that the landscape plan shown is in compliance with the UDO sections. Your determination is needed on a couple items here. Number 1 is the appropriateness of the half inch over 12 pitch of the breezeway. In essence, it makes it a flat roof. The appropriateness of the powder-coated aluminum handrails, and then the appropriateness of the wood composite shutters. So your actions are to approve the application as submitted, approved with conditions, or to deny the application. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions, and then I can bring it back to the proposed recommendations, and we can discuss them. And the applicant is here and is able to answer any questions you may have.
Other questions for staff first?
At what point do we give you our thoughts on what you're asking the commission? Post
determination?
applicant,
For the determination ones?
yeah. Do you want that now, or do you want it after the applicant?
I mean, if you're happy, we can discuss it right now.
Why don't we bring up the applicant, because some of them have to do with how they designed it.
Okay, it might be helpful.
It's pertinent, yeah.
Okay.
Got a sample.
Thank you for having so few comments listed on your.
It's a little worrisome when somebody walks up with holding a brick.
I went through the scanner with it, so.
I know
Here's my
it.
brick sample.
Just don't.
So Carolina brick, it's
Tom Parker with PDG Architects. I'm here with the
No, I know.
owner, Brenda Dunaway.
Thank you for staying so late.
The service yard
Saving
detail,
the best for last.
the service yard detail is in the drawings. It was just labeled incorrectly. It's louvered. It's on sheet 3. You want to do that? Sheet 3A.2.3. It's a louvered fence with lattice brick ends and brick piers. There it is.
Oh, okay.
So it's has lattice brick on the ends and a louvered infill, all out of wood. The breezeway was, the roof is a standing seam metal, but it will be an aluminum roof, standing seam aluminum with concealed fasteners, probably a musket gray color at this point. But I know we don't deal with colors, but it'll be a gray color.
And was there a question about that it was flat and didn't have a pitch?
That's what what we want to talk about on the next item is B, 2B, which is shown in this drawing a little bit. There's a detail in here, but it's meant to be it's supposed to look like a trellis, a heavy timber trellis, connecting the garage to the house. And then it just happens to have a flat standing seam metal roof on top of it. Keep one more, right there.
Okay.
So it's a timber structure. It's got a little cross bracing in it, and it's got a little bit of this and that going on. But the columns are long, and we have a brick base on all the columns because the height of the breezeway was deemed a little too tall. So shorten the proportion of the columns on that. If the board feels like we need to have a pitched roof on that, we're perfectly happy putting a low 3 and 12
4 and 12 pitch roof on there. We just felt it was a stronger statement because it is 38 feet long. So it looks like a trellis that's hooking, a heavy timber trellis that's hooking the house to the carriage house. So, but if the board feels like that needs to be a sloped roof, we're perfectly fine with that.
So from the ground, when you're looking up, you're looking at a wood trellis with a wood roof, as far as you can tell, because of
Absolutely. It looks like a
metals
wood
hitting
trellis
above.
with wood decking, basically, on the, over the purlins. So.
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, maybe let's look at the elevation, showing it again.
The 1/8 inch, go all the way back to the 1/8 inch, shows the whole thing.
Right, there you go. Yeah. So it really does read as a trellis there.
So we just felt that that had a stronger feel to it than putting a slope on that. We have a lot of roofs already, and trying to simplify things a little bit. And the interaction with the main house is more successful coming in below the porch roof.
Other thoughts on that?
I mean, I appreciate that you don't see more standing seam roof. I think that the bigger spacing that you get between the, like, the rafters of the trellis kind of has a nicer scale to it than the smaller spacing of the roof standing seams would, all the way down that entire length.
Good.
Debbie?
Good.
I like it.
Next item was brick. We're using Old Carolina brick, which is really a classic brick that you can't tell the difference between this and a reclaimed brick. It's just fantastic. We did reclaim the brick from two of the 3 chimneys and all the brick that was on the ground that was old Savannah gray. So we've got 3.5 pallets of that, but it's not enough to do everything. So the carriage house number 1 is supposed to look like an old kitchen cookhouse on the side, and it's bricked wall. So it's made out of brick. It was the old cookhouse. That's kind of what that's supposed to feel like. We don't have enough brick to do that whole structure, so we will be using this brick for that vertical portion you see. Hopefully all the horizontal will be the reclaimed brick, and the interior, we've got some brick on the floor. We're going to use the old brick for that, the original brick from that. So hopefully that works. We're going to use a grapevine, bone-colored grout with a grapevine strike in it. So it'll be a beaded sort of grout line. The railings are powder-coated aluminum railings. They're a 2.25 inch art cap top with a tongue, lamb's tongue termination. And there's a detail of it in there, and we submitted a picture of one too. A5. Sheet A5.
Okay.
It was the last down at the end.
Got it.
Oh, before the, yeah.
And that's something for newer members, by the way. You may
Yes.
know that's typically, we have approved that time and time again, just as long as it has a historical detailing to it and feels like a wrought iron.
There should have been a picture of what it looks like in real life in your package too. The doors, it says the screen door is noted as AZAC. I couldn't find that note anywhere on our drawings, and that's not what it's supposed to be. It's going to be an 1.75 inch mahogany screen door with fiberglass screen to match. But it'll be a thick mahogany screen door. 2 panels as shown on the drawings. I'm not sure where AZAC came from, but I couldn't find it. It's a mistake wherever it is.
I don't know where I found it, but I did Google it and looked it up,
We've
and I
never
like
done it. We've never done an AZAC screen door. So I don't know how it could be on the
Doors, yeah.
I don't know how it could be on the drawings, but it is meant to be mahogany, and it will be mahogany. The windows themselves, the oval window is a discussion point, I feel. The UDO does not mention anything about ovals. It says it has to be square and rectangular, and we're fine changing this, but we feel that the oval is truly a historic shape for a window, and it is a vertical proportioned window also. So taking those two things into account and using it as an accent right in the middle of the composition is historically where you would see a window like this. And I know the UDO doesn't speak to it at all, but, and it does say square and rectangular. We're perfectly fine with going back to a rectangular window. But you can see how the roof of the porch rises up above the sill of the windows that are in that wall. So we do have a little bit of an issue, but nothing we can't deal with if the board doesn't like the oval.
Do we have thoughts on that? Sorry.
I don't mind it because if it was a square window, it would be really matchy-matchy. It'd just be like a lot of little windows like the ones above it. I don't mind it at all. And it's fixed, so does it need to be operational if we all decide that the round looks good?
This is a sash set window, and it can be operable. They make them, but we'd rather have it be fixed.
But when you say sash set, it looks for all intents as.
It has a sash, yes,
Operable,
in the
an
frame.
operable window. It's not a.
Like it could pivot open, but it doesn't.
It just doesn't have the hardware.
It has a nice thick sash in it.
I like it there, honestly. It gives it some character and breaks up all the windows, in my opinion.
Joe?
I agree. It's a well-detailed house and it has a lot of character, and I think it's a good spot for an exception.
Yeah, I feel it's appropriate.
I do too. I mean, if it was anything else, you'd have to deal with the shutters and the height above the porch, and it just, everything seems so uniform and perfect on that elevation. So I think it fits.
The other one was those 3 square windows on there. They're on the window schedule as fixed windows. Those can be casements. They are sash set fixed. We've always used sash set, but those can be operable. On the river elevation, we have some large windows that also can be casement. They're 4'4" wide by 6'4" tall. We'll have to make them 4'2" wide by 6'4" tall. So they'll be 2 inches narrower if they're operable. We would rather leave these fixed just for cost reasons, but they are sash set, but they can be operable.
I'm okay with them being.
They appear to be operable. We've said that several times tonight, so.
As long as they appear to be operable, I'm good.
Me too.
Yep, they have a nice scale to the rest of the house, and it's well breaking up with the millwork of the columns and everything. It feels integrated, and they're not massive, unbroken pieces of glass. They've got the sash bars in them, so I think that makes sense.
Item 7 was shutters.
Real quick, just so I can make sure. So, and I'm just working on for condition purposes. So, like item number 6, where it says change all fixed windows to an operable window. So it would be the rear windows as shown on Riverside, that the fixed windows would be acceptable. But I think I had listed for operational for, what was the other?
L windows, the little square ones, we're going to make those casements.
Okay. Okay, all right, great, thank you.
The shutters, we're using Atlantic or New Horizon composite shutters. They were in the package that we sent, but they're historically correct shutters. It's a flat panel with a bead, and they're usually accepted in historic areas, but we can talk about it.
That's typically one of those items that we, in the past, have said if the UDO administrator is okay with the touch test kind of thing, and it feels like it's appropriate, then we've determined that to be appropriate, or for the UDO administrator to do that, but
They're mounted on, I can definitely get you a sample.
Yeah.
They're mounted on black stainless steel hardware, authentic hardware, and can close if they had to.
So that's one of the determination items?
These shutters are approved in downtown Charleston, so. So they're good.
They're good
But
materials.
we'll provide
I'm totally
a sample
fine
for the.
Yeah,
Just a corner sample.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
just enough for the
Just a little-
touch feel.
Right,
Yep.
okay, see the thickness and the
Yep.
corner detail.
Does anybody have issues with that? Okay.
No, I mean, it looked like a very premium product. Yep.
And then the trim, we already talked about, so it's Boral.
Yeah.
It's the brand name.
Did we actually approve that recently? Add it into the UDO?
I can't remember if we did or not, or if it was one of those items where we have stated that it is an acceptable material.
Came up a couple years ago. where we
Might
were
have
talking
just
about it.
recently, in the past year, just off the top of my head, I cannot remember.
Okay.
I know we've had multiple discussions about it.
Knowing very few of these words, I do recognize that y'all have approved oral in the past.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look too.
Yeah, I remember us talking about it because some members weren't familiar with it, but we use it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been telling people at HBRC that it's okay, so we're gonna see.
There you go.
Okay. All right.
If there are any other questions, I'm
Any other
happy to
questions for the
answer.
applicant?
The chimneys have like a little flat box in it. That's not a spark arrestor, right? Is it?
No,
it's
that's
a masonry
terracotta.
chimney. Okay, so we don't, if it was a spark arrestor, we have to turn the chimney so it hides it, but
Oh, from the front?
from the front.
We can turn, there,
But if it's not a spark, if you've got a masonry flue, then it's fine.
Any other questions? Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Beautiful house.
No, we're good.
Put a guard on this brick, so.
Okay, so as you go to make a recommendation, this is where you can choose specific numbers to include as part of the conditions. Obviously, we're saying that number one is already good, so that item has already been met, so it does not need to be included. Item three, that it is appropriate, the brick material is appropriate, so we can just remove that one completely. Item four can be removed completely because it is the mahogany wood, so it's a moot point for that item. So as of right now, we're looking at, on this sheet, number two, so, and then number, so the oval window, we were okay with that. So you will remove that as one of the conditions.
You need that to be a determination that is appropriate. We need to move 5 and 6 down. I mean, it's an easy part of the
You can, just to be on the safe side. Okay, so for that one, and then for item number 6 is that the rear windows, as proposed as fixed glass, is acceptable, and that window labeled L will be operational. And then we are removing number 7 completely. And then 8 was the landscape plan, which I'm not exactly sure what we had. We can leave that comment in there just to make sure that on final, everything it should be okay. So.
And the 3 determinations.
Oh, yes, thank you. Okay. And that you deemed items 1, 2, and 3 under for a determination as being appropriate. So.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, go for it. Yep.
I motion to approve the application with staff recommendations 2 and 8, and making the following determinations that item 5, the oval window, is an appropriate window configuration, and that the fixed glass windows are appropriate, that while window L will be operational, and that the 1/2 and 12 pitch for the breezeway is appropriate, the powder coated aluminum handrails are appropriate, and the wood composite shutters are appropriate.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
The last item we had provided just a copy of the site feature update that was in your packet. Just a bunch of signs, a couple repairs, sage shell at DeVos Park, and that's about it. So staff doesn't have anything else.
Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I get a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Let's go home.
All in favor?
Aye.